This absolute legend slaved for 10 years, completed every impossible mission, and even killed the Demon King. And his reward? A sword straight through his back, and getting called a hunting dog that needs to be put down. My man got left to bleed out like trash after saving their entire empire. I am Kang, and my only goal is to burn every empire dog who put that sword through my spine alive. He was Earth's commander with 40 years of war experience, 1 second away from ending humanity's monster war when a magic circle spawned and kidnapped him mid-battle. He woke up chained by cultist bastards who forced him to kill their demon king or die from the magic leash burning his neck. Our boy had zero choice and accepted, thinking he'd finally go home. For the next 10 years, he completed every brutal mission and finally killed the demon king. But instead of freedom, he got backstabbed and left to die alone. But death wasn't the end. He reincarnates as Kang Jackson, son of Duke Jackson, the continent's most feared necromancer, and basically the Elon Musk of forbidden magic. Kang got a smoking hot elf master Sophia teaching him dark arts, a genius body that absorbs mana like breathing, and access to daddy's necromancy that can raise armies of the dead. This 8-year-old invents lethal explosions on day 1, tames demon artifacts, and creates zombie suicide bombers by age 9. Guys, absolutely demolish that like button harder than Kang demolishes his enemies with undead armies, and smash subscribe if you too need a hot teacher like Sophia. I need your support, like Kang needs his revenge. Now let's continue. Earth's final defense line is crumbling in the year 2045, and the soldiers are completely losing their minds. These guys have seen things that would make horror movie directors quit their jobs. They've been fighting monsters for decades, and now their own blood is literally painting the battlefield red like the world's worst art project. Everyone's about to give up. Everyone except our MC, Misato, the commander-in-chief who's still standing there like an absolute unit between humanity and total extinction. This man is built different. He one-shots monsters with his sword and never misses a single shot. Every single time, his sheer presence alone makes the broken soldiers remember why they're even fighting. Misato cuts through the battlefield like it's nothing, determined to save every last human. After endless years of this nightmare war, only a handful of monsters are left. Victory is right there. They can taste it. But that's when everything goes horribly wrong. A glowing magic circle spawns right in front of him just as he's lining up his shot on the final monster. Before he can even react, it sucks him straight into another world. No warning, no loading screen, no "are you sure you want to leave" pop-up. Our boy doesn't get a single second to process what just happened before he wakes up, wrapped in magic chains that are burning his skin. A bunch of creepy hooded figures are standing around him, who definitely look like they're about to start a cult or already did. Misato is completely confused, demanding to know where he is and why he's shackled like some criminal. That's when this old baldy steps forward with the biggest grin on his face and welcomes him as their otherworldly hero. The old baldy doesn't waste a single second explaining that Misato got dragged here to kill a demon king and save their pathetic empire. When our MC raises his voice demanding actual answers, the old baldy just casually casts a spell on him. Oath of restraint. Misato's body turns into a human Tesla coil against his will, and the pain is absolutely insane. The old baldy warns him with a smile that the magic won't hurt if he just obeys like a good boy. Before Misato can even recover from getting fried alive, a sword gets thrown at his feet, and he's ordered to go defeat the Demon King. The customer service in this isekai is really terrible. The old baldy sweetly promises to send him home to Earth if he does. Our hero has zero choice. His life gets dragged into yet another endless war, except this time he's basically a slave. He works like a machine, going on expedition after expedition, slashing through enemies over and over, and doing side missions he can't skip. 10 whole years pass. He throws away his prime years for the sake of finally killing the Demon King of Valorant. Yes, you hear that right. Even Demon Kings are gamers now. He can barely believe freedom is this close. Every night he dreams about what he'll do when he gets home. But our boy couldn't be more wrong about his so-called freedom. The Empire just keeps speedrunning his suffering with back-to-back quests. Whenever he dares ask about his reward, they remind him about the magic leash choking his neck. He's got no choice but to keep being their obedient soldier. For his final mission, they order him to kill Kingdom Knight Bedell. He obeys. As Misato stabs him, Bedell just looks at him with pure pity in his eyes. The kind of look that says, "Oh buddy, you have no idea what's coming." Misato apologizes, saying he had no other choice. Bedell smiles weakly and tells him not to be sorry because soon enough Misato will get discarded just like him. Our MC doesn't understand what that means, and for one beautiful moment, he actually believes he can go home. That hope lasts exactly 1 second. Kingdom Royal Knight stabs him straight through the back. The Count praises all his hard work while Misato is literally dying, but makes absolutely sure he understands that he was nothing but a loyal hunting dog this entire time. Our hero manages to choke out that it was all a lie, and they never planned to send him home. The Count just agrees like it's the most obvious thing in the world, and explains they can't let a hunting dog run free because it only knows how to bite. Misato dies, swearing he'll never forget this humiliation and that he'll make the cursed empire pay by annihilating every last one of them. That night, one life closes its eyes forever, and another opens them for the first time. A maid is congratulating her mistress on giving birth to a baby boy. As the baby opens his eyes, he completely ignores his crying mother because he had zero interest in milk and cuddles. Our boy just needs revenge. He tries to recognize the man with long black hair standing nearby. He finally remembers, this man is Duke Jackson, the continent's greatest necromancer and black mage. Basically the Elon Musk of forbidden magic. That's when it all clicks. He's inside the necropolis, the Empire's forbidden magic headquarters, where they do all their darkest experiments. Our MC just got reincarnated as Duke Jackson's son, and honestly, he's not even shocked. The Stone of Reincarnation worked exactly as planned. This forbidden artifact only activates once in existence, and he'd hidden it away in his past life specifically to break free from being the Empire's chained hunting dog. The only catch was that he had zero control over what body he'd end up in. Fate was completely random, but somehow he hit the jackpot and got reborn as the first child of the Duke Jackson family, one of the Empire's most elite noble bloodlines. He literally couldn't ask for a better starting position to prepare his revenge. Within literal minutes of being born, our boy is already planning to master necromancy and massacre every single one of those traitorous Empire dogs. But here's the problem. He forgets he's a newborn baby. His father notices something is wrong and asks the nanny why the baby isn't crying. The nanny checks him over, saying he's breathing perfectly fine, but has no idea why he won't cry. His mother hands him over to get examined while the baby is internally complaining that tears don't exactly come easy when you're a grown man trapped in an infant's body. The nanny keeps insisting nothing's wrong, but the Duke just wonders out loud if a tearless child is considered a bad omen. The nanny suggests that if he really wants the baby to cry, they can just spank his bottom until he does. Our protagonist is way too stubborn to let that work. Despite getting spanked multiple times, he refuses to shed a single tear. He's being spanked and thinking, is that all you got? His parents are just staring at his ridiculous stubbornness, wondering if he inherited the Duke's iron will. His mother takes him back and raises her hand to hit him again. The baby braces for impact, but instead feels something completely unexpected. Warmth. Gentle, trembling warmth. That's when Misato realizes something that breaks him. When was the last time I felt warmth like this? The soft shaking hands of this young noble lady, his new mother, are radiating a love he hasn't experienced in decades. Misato, who hasn't cried since he was old enough to think for himself, finally breaks down sobbing. Decades of pain just came crashing out in one ugly cry. Our hero gets named Kang in this new life. 8 years pass in the blink of an eye. One night before bed, his parents are talking about how their son literally never puts down a book and is always buried in the library reading. His father, Jackson, wonders if the kid is interested in magic, but his wife immediately shuts that down by reminding him of the promise he made. He asks if she's talking about the promise not to teach Kang necromancy. She confirms it with the most serious face and is super pleased he actually remembers. Jackson reassures her and is about to tell her about the birthday gift he prepared for Kang when everything goes wrong. The next day, a maid comes knocking on their door at an ungodly hour. Jackson is confused about who could be bothering them this late. When the maid rushes in completely panicked about young Master Kang, parents speedrunning the hallway like their lives depend on it, and find our boy just lying on the floor. His mother immediately checks him for injuries. Full mom panic mode activated, while his father senses something way more concerning. Mana in the air. Jackson is absolutely stunned because his 8-year-old son just managed to release mana on his own. He looks at Kang with the most serious expression and demands an explanation. Our MC starts panicking, trying to think of a believable lie, but before he can say anything, his father breaks into the proudest smile and acknowledges his power like it's the coolest thing ever. He ruffles the boy's hair and says it's such a shame he can't teach him necromancy himself. Kang is completely shocked hearing this, but his mother cuts the moment short and sends him straight back to bed. Fast forward to Kang's birthday banquet where all the nobles gather to celebrate. Our protagonist is absolutely dreading meeting these people. In his past life, he got treated like garbage as a hero, and now suddenly being a pampered noble feels ridiculously awkward. He sits in his room sighing over and over, waiting to get summoned downstairs. While he's waiting, he can't stop thinking about the night he accidentally destroyed his desk. He'd just been reminiscing about his past life as a war hero, when the mana inside him went completely berserk and wrecked everything. No matter how much he thinks about it, it feels like a massive waste not to use the insane talent this new body has. He's racking his brain trying to figure out how to convince his father to teach him necromancy. He's even considering asking for necromancy lessons instead of a birthday gift. Most kids want toys. This psycho wants to raise the dead. Totally normal, and here's where our revenge-driven reincarnated hero makes his move. His mother finally arrives, snapping him out of his thoughts. She wishes him a happy birthday the moment she sees him, but Kang's eyes lock onto the stranger standing behind her instead. His mother introduces the woman as an elder of the Blue Magic Tower, a master of water tribute magic, the enlightened demon herself, Sophia, This person is here to teach him water magic. Kang immediately gets what his mother is trying to pull. She wants him stuck learning defense and disruption spells, anything to keep him far away from necromancy. His new teacher steps forward and asks if they can speak privately. He agrees and they head outside for a walk. She wastes no time and states the obvious that she was instructed to teach him only water magic. Then Sophia stops, looks him dead in the eyes. Eye contact so intense, Kang forgot how to breathe for a second. She asks if he's disappointed he can't learn what he truly wants. Kang freezes, caught completely off guard. How the hell did she know? She explains it's painfully obvious he'd want to learn his father's necromancy, the magic of darkness. But everyone across the empire knows about the Duke's marriage conditions. When Lady Elena was courted by the infamous Duke, she was terrified of his reputation. To reassure her, he made a promise to never pass his dark arts to their child. They even wore pure white at their wedding instead of black to prove his commitment. Because of that vow, learning dark magic will be nearly impossible for Kang. But then Sophia drops a bombshell and promises to persuade Elena somehow. She asks Kang if he would like to follow her guidance instead. Kang can hardly believe what he's hearing because she's an elf, and elves are obsessed with the laws of nature. He wonders how she can possibly accept black magic. That's when she points toward the priests in the distance who bring the dying back to life and asks whether that aligns with the will of nature. Whether it's necromancy or resurrection, both are the same violation to her. Kang realizes she's not some typical narrow-minded elf. She might actually be an excellent master. And here's why this changes everything for him. With their doubts cleared up, they waste no time and jump straight into lessons. Sophia already knows Kang has formed a fragment of his mana circle, so his goal now is simple: expand it and complete his first circle. He's relieved to finally start because most spells he's read about require at least a completed first circle to even function. His training begins with placing a hand over his heart and concentrating hard. As Kang focuses with his eyes closed, he slowly realizes something incredible. This world is nothing like Earth. It's overflowing with mana everywhere. But unless you're some ancient dragon, raw mana will tear you apart if you try handling it directly. That's why a filter is absolutely necessary, and it's called a mana heart circle. One must gather the scattered fragments of the mana circle around the heart, assemble them piece by piece, and make them rotate steadily without stopping. Forming a circle is like engraving a mana flow path straight into the heart itself. Sophia continues guiding him and explains that it usually takes at least a month for the circle to form properly. But then Kang opens his eyes and casually announces that he's already done it. Casually dropped that bomb like he just finished a tutorial level. Sophia is utterly shocked. He just started training literal minutes ago. How the hell could he form a complete circle that fast? She wonders if he might be a naturally born prodigy. She quickly asks if he can release mana through the circle. He responds that he'll give it a shot. Normally, even releasing mana through a completed circle is extremely difficult for beginners. But Kang knows he can't avenge himself with such pathetic basic ability. He definitely can't catch up to Duke Jackson that way either. In his past life, he could only wield bat destruction spells carved into his body with magic engravings like some kind of crippled mage. This time, however, everything is different. He has inherited the natural talent of the Duke Magic Tower Master himself. This body accepts mana like breathing. Perhaps he can learn not only water magic, but every other type as well. He focuses hard, drawing mana in, guiding it to his fingertips, and forming it into the sharpest fragment meant to pierce the Empire's throat. Sophia watches in disbelief as he shapes his mana into an actual weapon. She knows that normally mana collapses immediately when released from the body, yet this beginner is crystallizing it into a proper, complete ice bolt right before her eyes. Kang is focused solely on perfecting its form before releasing it, so she suspects its power might be lacking. And that's when he proves her completely wrong. But when he releases it, the ice bolt pierces straight through the wood like it's nothing. Sophia's eyes widen in alarm. His mana possesses insane sharpness and solidity for a beginner. This level of precision is far beyond what any 8-year-old should ever achieve. She looks back at him, wondering who the hell this child truly is. Sophia stares at the shredded tree bark like a teacher who just watched her student accidentally solve a PhD-level equation on day 1. She thought he would be at a basic level just to move mana around at best, but it turns out the ice element had already been perfectly included during the mana release. It was supposed to be basic magic, but somehow he displayed magic that absorbed the chill nearby so flawlessly. She's completely lost in her thoughts when Kang nervously calls out to ask if he did something wrong. She just smiles at him, unable to form any words after witnessing what just happened. The intricacy of the magic formula was far beyond something a merely innocent child could unconsciously create on their first try. Rotation, acceleration, congestion. The magic included all 3 formulas known as the golden ratio of military magic. Kang being able to unconsciously project and cast such a perfectly lethal spell is just unbelievable. Sophia turns to him again and reassures the boy that everything is completely fine, but her mind is racing. She immediately goes to find Jackson, the boy's father, and drops a bombshell. She tells him she can't teach Kang anymore. When he asks what the hell she means by that, she doesn't answer right away. Jackson stresses that if Kang reached the first circle within only a few minutes, then she should absolutely keep teaching him. She shakes her head and explains again. As soon as young Lord Kang reached the first circle, he used a perfectly lethal spell on the spot without hesitation. It was hard to believe that a mere 8-year-old child even knew how to cast it. The military magic formula was used in its creation, and it was executed in the perfect golden ratio. She tells Jackson with a grave expression that Kang is naturally talented at killing people. Jackson's face stiffens, but he asks if she's refusing to teach him just because she's an elder of the Blue Magic Tower who supposedly pursues non-violence. She quickly clarifies that's not the case at all. If anything, Sophia feels a powerful urge to guide him to the right path with her own hands before it's too late. Jackson stresses back at her. Then in that case, there's absolutely no reason for you to decline teaching him. She pauses and then answers quietly, the Duke magic of Lord Duke. Jackson's face immediately darkens. It seemed that Kang already possessed the exact magic he desperately wanted to learn, and here's why that changes everything. Jackson doesn't respond at all. Sophia continues without missing a beat. She's heard plenty about their love story and respects the promise he made with Lady Elena, but that doesn't give him the right to decide his child's future, especially not when it's someone with insane talent like the young lord. Meanwhile, Kang tries desperately to hear what they're discussing, but no sound reaches his ears from inside the closed doors. He finally gives up and leans against the door in defeat. Even he didn't expect his first spell to show such ridiculous power. He saw the shocked look on his master's face and is now determined to have way more control over his abilities. Someone suddenly calls his name and drags him out of his running thoughts. His mood instantly lights up when he sees his Uncle Ben standing there. His uncle asks what he was doing lurking outside the door like that. Instead of answering, Kang fires back asking where the hell he's been. His uncle grins and answers that he was away fulfilling his duty of protecting the Duke family. He lifts Kang into his arms with a huge smile while going on about defeating terrifying monsters. Kang's eyes widen and he asks if his uncle has been clearing dungeons. In this world, the emergence of dungeons or the overflow of monsters is an absolute nightmare for any territory. Since the Demon King is still alive somewhere, monsters descending upon civilian areas have caused catastrophic damage across the Empire. That's why the knights of each domain primarily devote themselves to clearing unexplored dungeons within the Demon King's territory, or eliminating monsters that overflow through dungeon breaks. In particular, the situation in their kingdom is several times worse than in other territories. And here's the brutal irony. The reason for that disaster is Misato, aka Kang himself. After Misato defeated the Demon King in his past life, Duke Jackson was ordered to transform the Demon King's former territory into Imperial land by subduing every last monster that resided there. In technical terms, this is called leftover dumping, and it's a death sentence. Kang realizes this and immediately cautions his uncle to watch out for himself out there. His uncle looks at him with pure affection and asks if the boy was actually worried about him. Before Kang can answer, Jackson steps out of the room. Ben quickly greets his master and Jackson appreciates his hard work in the recent dungeon raid. Meanwhile, Elena, Kang's mother, also approaches them from down the hall. She immediately grabs hold of her son to tell him how incredibly proud she is of him reaching the first circle so fast. His father congratulates him as well, acting as if he didn't know anything about what just happened. His mother encourages Kang to tell his father if he wants anything at all as a reward. Kang thinks about asking to be taught necromancy right then and there, but suspects it might come off as cunning and manipulative, so he panics and blurts out that he wants a little sister instead. This makes both his parents' faces turn bright red. Jackson clears his throat and assures him they'll absolutely try their best to make that happen. His uncle, on the other side, tries his absolute best to hold in his laughter and fails miserably. And that's how Kang accidentally changed the entire conversation. Late that night, Kang lies on his bed and reflects that acting this childish at his age is just painfully weird. He feels unusually exhausted, probably because of all the mana he burned through earlier. He falls asleep immediately after that thought and dreams of something absolutely terrible. The person who brutally killed him in his past life greets him again with that same twisted smile. He points out that people really are pathetically sly to grow soft this easily. He asks Kang mockingly as he drives the sword deep into his back, "Were you actually happy to have a great house and loving parents this time around? Now that you're all warm and cozy in your new life, you don't think so much about revenge anymore, do you?" He goes on to warn him that the people of the Empire will hunt him down relentlessly and end him until every last trace of him is gone from the face of the earth. Kang wakes up with a violent start. His heart feels like it's going to explode right out of his chest. He wonders if this is the mana rampage he's heard about from the books. He curses the Empire under his breath and stumbles out into the open to get some fresh air, but that only makes it infinitely worse. The pain spreads everywhere. He doesn't know what the hell to do or how to stop this from killing him. But thankfully, Sophia appears like a wizard-shaped miracle and immediately goes for his heart, not in a romantic way, more in a stop your mana from exploding you from the inside out way. Kang is shocked to find the rampage has vanished completely. Sophia then explains to him that the true essence of magic is the perfect mirror of his heart and soul. That's the exact reason why each mage has completely different individuality, even though they might use the exact same magic formula. She also tells him bluntly that his natural talent in magic is taking other people's lives as efficiently as possible. It's an incredibly dangerous talent, and that's exactly why she finds it fortunate that she'll be the one teaching him how to control it. She then hands him a book, an actual necromancy magic tome, like it's a perfectly normal birthday present. Not a toy, not candy. A book on raising the dead, because that's apparently what 8-year-olds need these days. She says it may be fate itself that brought her here to teach him from now on, and then finally wishes him a happy birthday at last. For some reason, this simple gesture makes Kang completely emotional, and he hugs her tight without thinking. She playfully teases him that he's such a needy child after all. A few days later, his real training finally begins. For his first necromancy lesson, Kang has to successfully resurrect a zombie from scratch. Since he's brand new to this, he has to start small with animals, like rabbits, and work his way up. He kills one instantly, with the same brutal ice attack he used on the tree earlier. And here's where things get dark. The tree was one thing, but Sophia immediately notices something disturbing. Despite just taking a life right in front of her, his hands don't waver even slightly. She pushes that unsettling thought aside for now and starts explaining the fundamentals about mages. Even if it's the exact same spell, its form varies infinitely from mage to mage across the empire. She asks if he knows why that is. When he doesn't answer, she continues without pause. It's because one's magic is ultimately a perfect mirror reflecting their mind and soul. It materializes what lies deep in one's heart through mana particles floating around us. Therefore, magic inevitably reveals the complete landscape of one's inner self, whether you want it to or not. She also explains that terms like firewall or ice bolt are merely stepping stones of imagination to solidify a clear mental image in your head. Even the prestigious magic taught in the magic towers is no different from this basic principle. The red magic tower values absolute order through overwhelming strength. The blue magic tower values perfect order through natural harmony. Each magic tower's core philosophy is directly projected into the very form of its magic. The philosophy emphasized by each magic tower forms the entire foundation of its magic system from the ground up. Besides the red and blue magic towers, there also exist the duke, white, and green magic towers scattered across the land. Kang looks like he only half understands what the hell she's saying. So Sophia decides this philosophical topic is way too early for an 8-year-old, and continues with their actual training instead. Raising a zombie is the most basic form of necromancy that exists. It's the dark art of animating a lifeless corpse using invisible mana strings to control its every movement. The head, spine, and knees. Sophia tells him to carefully tie the mana threads to these 3 critical parts of the dead rabbit's body, and he does it pretty damn easily on his first attempt. So she asks if he's ready to move on to the next challenging part. He's always eager to push forward. Here comes the frozen armor technique. Kang has to gather all the ice particles from the air around him and form protective armor directly on the back of the zombie rabbit. Sophia comments that his execution of frozen armor is surprisingly decent for a beginner. The form is actually proper and stable, so they immediately move to test its actual defense capabilities. Sophia launches an attack at the rabbit to examine its defensive strength, and Kang passes this brutal test as well, without breaking a sweat. His ice armor completely blocks Sophia's attack, which is honestly pretty damn impressive for a first try. When Sophia looks back at him, she notices that he's practically bursting with eagerness to ask something important. She permits him to say whatever it is. He excitedly asks her to teach him water attribute magic on top of necromancy. She denies it immediately, without hesitation. She explains that what he performed today was already a very basic form of water magic mixed with necromancy. But like all magic in existence, the water attribute demands much deeper insight and far higher levels of understanding as it develops into advanced spells. For most beginner mages, even learning just one type of magic properly is extremely difficult. To handle 2 completely different types simultaneously makes you what they call a dual mage. Sophia makes it crystal clear to him that at his current age, becoming a dual mage is nearly impossible no matter how talented he is. It seems like excessive ambition on his part to aspire for so much so fast. Kang didn't expect that harsh rejection at all. He genuinely thought she would agree after witnessing how much insane progress he'd made in such a ridiculously short time. He still tries desperately to persuade her by reminding her of her own exact words where she promised they were going to find their own path together from here on. She dismisses him coldly by ending today's lesson right there on the spot. That same night in the study, Kang frantically picks out every single book he can find to study something on his own and prove beyond doubt that he can become a dual mage. That way she'll have absolutely no choice but to teach him both magics. The next morning, as the student and master head out for their daily lesson, Sophia immediately observes that he looks like he didn't get a single wink of sleep last night. He admits that he stayed up late preparing for something important, but she warns him not to overexert himself like this. However, all the tiredness instantly vanishes from his eyes the moment he begins showing her what he's been working on all night. He raises his hand confidently and forms a perfect magic circle to control the zombie rabbit again with ease. Seeing this, Sophia comments that he's already mastered the basics completely, but he's not even close to done yet. He makes the ice armor on the back of the rabbit violently explode and then simultaneously detonates the zombie itself right after. Combining them both creates such a massive explosion that Sophia has to desperately pull up a defense wall around them both to avoid getting shredded. This is an attack method she has literally never seen before in her entire life. She also observes with shock that mixed with the ice explosion from the frozen armor, the corpse explosion managed to attain a devastatingly larger area of effect, and it doesn't end there at all. The ice shards and bone fragments are blasted outward like deadly blades in every direction. It's almost as if this brutal magic was designed only to kill as many people as possible, something a person who devoted their entire life to the battlefield would create. She stares at him and wonders just what kind of twisted form does this child's mental image actually take. They don't get any chance to discuss this disturbing topic as Kang's uncle, Sir Ben, suddenly approaches them from the training grounds. Kang doesn't care much for the polite greeting and immediately fires off the same question, asking if his uncle just came back from raiding yet another dangerous dungeon. As if any boy doesn't absolutely love hearing about nice and dangerous dungeons. His uncle grins and answers that this time they subdued a small raiding group of monsters and that the Black Cavalry had to put in some serious work out there. The legendary Black Cavalry wielding massive lances covered in pure aura are the unrivaled cavalry unit of the entire kingdom. To add to this insane reputation, their knight captain, Sir Ben himself, is one of only 7 swordmasters on the entire continent. Kang simply smiles wide and reminds his uncle of his old promise to teach him proper sword techniques someday. Not entirely sure what he wants to learn more weapons for, after being in 2 brutal wars straight in his past life, but he's just an excited kid who wants to learn sword techniques from one of the absolute best fighters alive. His uncle happily obliges his wishes, and part ways after telling him not to stay out too long since it's freezing cold outside. Sophia and Kang head back home together too. That same night, Sophia sits down to fill in the Duke and his wife on Kang's terrifying progress over tea. She tells them with a serious expression that Kang has already completely mastered his first circle in both necromancy and water magic at the exact same time. With an immediately worried expression, the Duke reminds her sternly about their original deal to teach only water magic and nothing else. And here's when Sophia drops the truth on them. However, as his personal mentor, she wanted to teach him absolutely whatever he wished to learn without restrictions. She points out firmly again that Kang clearly wanted to learn way more than just basic water magic. Elena immediately breaks into their conversation and requests that Sophia keep teaching him only water magic and nothing else. Sophia agrees to it out loud with her words, but she has zero intention of actually stopping the necromancy training in secret. Elena is perfectly content that her demands were fulfilled exactly as she wanted, but Jackson can't stop himself anymore. With visible nervousness, he tells her that he desperately wants to teach Kang necromancy himself. He wants to give their son the real strength needed to withstand the brutal duties of a lord, and at the same time raise a truly talented disciple as a master mage. As his father, he'd genuinely like his son to inherit his dark legacy properly. He immediately apologizes to her for wanting to break his sacred promise like this. Elena expresses her deep concern about how the public's perception of necromancy is still horrifically poor across the empire. People fear it instinctively and call it the cursed magic of death itself. That's the exact reason she wanted to dissuade her husband from this path. But surprisingly, she accepts his wish without further argument and tells him to train Kang to become a necromancer, powerful enough to completely ignore others' perception of it. Jackson is overwhelmingly happy to hear this and becomes absolutely determined to teach his son the best he possibly can. And so their very first day of special necromancy training finally begins. Jackson immediately tells Kang that he is extremely disappointed in him as a father and teacher. That's because he's been carelessly reviving lives without even knowing what the hell he was actually controlling. Kang doesn't answer back but silently blames his master in his head, thinking she only taught him that much basic knowledge. They're currently standing in the secret magic workshop located deep underground in the Duke's massive castle. As soon as Kang proudly showed his father the basic necromancy he learned from Sophia, Jackson clicked his tongue in disappointment and immediately dragged Kang down here. Jackson points his finger directly at him and warns sternly, "As long as I'm the one teaching you, don't even think about using such pathetically basic spells ever again." Jackson makes Kang sit down and memorize every single bone structure of every known life form, just to start their real training. All the thick books Kang got handed from his father were professional medical textbooks that only actual doctors in his past world would ever read. After painfully memorizing every last letter from all those heavy books, he's finally allowed to move on to practical magic application. They both now stand directly in front of a dead goblin's corpse on the table. Seeing Kang's utterly confused expression, Jackson explains without sympathy, "An untrained warlock can only make even a swordmaster's powerful corpse move around like a pathetic zombie. On the other hand, a truly skilled necromancer can transform an ordinary soldier's corpse into a devastating death knight. Standing in front of you right now is an ordinary undead goblin soldier." How will you move it properly? That is his challenging question to his son. Kang immediately starts thinking hard. Unlike a tiny rabbit, which is small in size and has only a limited number of bones to control, a goblin is infinitely harder to manipulate since it's bipedal like a human, and he has to tie it with dozens of precise mana strings. He shoots his mana strings toward the goblin corpse and finds it really damn difficult to control properly. It's exactly like trying to control an incredibly complicated puppet with invisible strings. He starts questioning his own amateur method of simply using post-mortem rigidity to crudely increase its defense. And here's when his father shows him how it's really done. In doing so, the goblin's joints and muscles have completely stiffened up, and now he can't move them at all, no matter how hard he tries. He has absolutely no clue what to do in this impossible situation. Jackson immediately understands his confusion and places his hand firmly on Kang's shoulder. He calmly repeats the exact same issue Kang is struggling with right now, that using post-mortem rigidity creates serious side effects when trying to move the corpse afterward. Instead of explaining everything in words, Jackson simply takes over the dead goblin himself and shows his son how it's actually done. It's absolutely amazing how his father controls it with such ridiculous ease. Jackson then explains without breaking focus. Rib cages are originally meant for protecting one's vital internal organs, but there's no need whatsoever to protect the organs of the dead anymore, is there? Understanding the target's bone structure perfectly and altering it to fit one's specific needs is the entire foundation of black magic itself. Even after learning such an advanced technique, Kang is still not satisfied at all. He boldly asks his father to teach him the core mindset of the Duke Magic Tower philosophy. Jackson pauses and says that if Kang truly wants to know the truth, it always exists only within death itself. Therefore, he must fully understand the crushing weight of life to ever reach that truth. This statement immediately reminds Kang of how utterly brutal he was in his past life as Misato. People desperately begged him to spare their pathetic lives, but he was always too blood-driven and rage-filled to even notice their pleas. His face flushes red with that terrible realization, and his father instantly notices the shift in his expression. But Kang can't tell him anything about his past life, even if he desperately wants to. So he just says he's completely fine. An empty word that means absolutely nothing of what it actually implies inside. As Kang's intense magic training progresses every single day, the shocking fact that Duke has taught his son dark magic has spread like wildfire throughout the entire empire. Duke's breaking of his sacred vow has caused a massive ruckus across the empire's nobility. As for the person who directly caused the breaking of that very vow, Kang has garnered the unwanted attention of literally everyone in the empire, including all the powerful nobles, and they're all focusing their eyes on this 8-year-old prodigy. A few weeks later in the Duke's massive training ground, Kang and his uncle are engaged in intense combat training. After a solid while of exchanging rapid blows back and forth, Sir Ben's wooden sword suddenly flies from his hand and lands behind him with a clatter. He smiles wide and praises Kang enthusiastically, saying that his sword skills are genuinely not bad for his age. But Kang immediately knows better than that. A legendary knight like Ben would never drop his sword like that in any real situation. He only did that on purpose to make him feel good. However, Ben quickly assures him that's absolutely not the case at all. And with Kang's current sword techniques, a normal person would have already died several times over in an actual battle. He also expresses his honest disappointment in Kang choosing to be a mage given his natural talent for swordsmanship. He walks toward Kang and crouches down in front of him, gently taking Kang's small hand into his fother to carefully tend to the injury he got during training. He assures him softly that there are always powerful escort knights standing by a mage's side to protect them at all times, and there's no real need for him to train this brutally hard. But Kang is definitely not one to back down from anything. He says it wouldn't be cool at all for the Duke's son to rely only on guards or defensive magic like some coward. And here's why his uncle's face darkens at those words. And another reason he absolutely can't let slip out loud is not wanting to lose this golden chance to learn swordsmanship directly from one of only 7 swordmasters on the entire continent. Ben is genuinely impressed with his answer and says that if he had a son exactly like Kang, he would have absolutely no regrets in life. Kang feels completely satisfied with receiving such high praise from his literal role model. Kang is vibing with his uncle when his mother suddenly shows up. He immediately rushes over, wondering what brings her all the way here. She says she just wanted to see her hardworking son in action, but that's not the whole truth. She's got news. Big news. Remember that birthday gift he asked for? Yeah, well, he can expect it to arrive in about 9 months. Wait, what? Our boy is about to become a big brother. The news hits him like a truck, and he doesn't know how to feel at first. But then it sinks in. He's actually excited about this. 10 months pass in a flash, and Kang finally meets his baby sister for the first time. He's absolutely losing his mind over how adorable she is. This is completely new territory for him. Even in his previous life, he never had a sibling. His mother watches him gawk at the baby and asks if he wants to hold her. Kang hesitates because he has zero experience with this kind of thing, but his mom assures him it's easier than it looks. Even his dad chimes in, saying he figured it out pretty quickly when he first held her, so Kang carefully takes his sister in his arms. His mother can't help but notice how much the baby looks like her big brother. She also points out something interesting. The little girl is dead silent when Kang holds her but won't stop crying in her own mother's arms. The baby clearly feels safe with him. His father walks over while Kang is completely absorbed playing with his sister and asks how it feels. Kang thinks for a moment and says she's light as a feather but also somehow heavy at the same time. His father smiles at that observation and drops some wisdom on him. That heaviness, that's the weight of life itself. Never forget that feeling, Kang. Then reality kicks back in, and his father reminds him it's time for his lesson. Sophia is waiting for him. Kang arrives at the training grounds and Sophia drops a bomb on him. Today's lesson is real combat. Our boy gets hyped, and Sophia tells him not to hold back. She wants him to come at her with everything he's got. Kang wastes no time casting his first circle and launches his attack, but his first strike? Way too slow. Sophia immediately calls him out for going easy on her, and counters with her own attack while yelling at him to raise his barrier. Instead of doing what she said, Kang does something completely unexpected. He forms ice armor around his hand and blocks the strike head on. Sophia is impressed. She orders him to attack again. This time, Kang doesn't attack at all. He conjures a massive ice wall instead. Sophia analyzes it instantly. By enhancing the mana structure, he dramatically increased the ice's density. It's seriously strong. But what's his plan here? She wonders if the poor kid just needed a breather after taking that last hit. Before she can figure out what he's thinking, the ice wall suddenly transforms into a frost explosion fragmentation formula. She barely has time to process what's happening before Kang detonates the whole thing like a grenade. Kang can't believe it actually worked. The incantation compressed the already sturdy ice wall even further and then exploded it outward. Since the ice molecules were strengthened before compression, it basically became a bomb. Kang starts feeling pretty proud of himself. Then he sees his master's figure literally disintegrating in front of him. All the color drains from his face, and he completely panics about what he just did. Just then, Sophia casually steps out from behind her illusion, completely unharmed. Our boy nearly dies of relief on the spot. She's genuinely impressed by his technique. She never expected a mere first circle mage to be capable of wounding an elder of the magic tower. Kang stammers out an apology, saying he never meant to hurt her. Sophia cuts him off and assures him she knows that. In fact, she's grateful for the wound he gave her today. It proved that he trusted her enough to use his full strength. As his master, that makes her incredibly proud. She asks how he even came up with that kind of spell formula. Kang deflects all the credit back to her teachings. Later that day, Sophia reports to Jackson. He takes one look at her and immediately spots the cut on her cheek. Sophia admits she got a little careless while overseeing Kang's practice, but she can't help acknowledging just how sharp his magic has become. Jackson's face turns serious, and he declares that he owes her a debt of gratitude for training his son. Sophia waves off his concern like it's nothing. Training a student as gifted as Kang is reward enough for her. Then Jackson's expression shifts to something darker. He's got news. Orcs have been spotted crossing the mountain range into their territory. It's a minor threat, sure, but he's planning to send Kang to deal with it. Sophia immediately objects. She insists Kang isn't ready for actual combat yet. Jackson dismisses her concern without hesitation and clarifies that Kang won't be anywhere near the front lines. A powerful dark aura suddenly erupts around him as he explains that defending their lands is House Jackson's sacred duty. As the heir, Kang must accept that responsibility whether he's ready or not. Sophia still looks uncertain, so Jackson eases up a bit and lays out his actual plan. He's going to give Kang one of the powerful artifacts from the family's collection. He wants Sophia to guide the boy in mastering its immense power before the mission. These artifacts aren't just magical items, they contain extraordinary magic and have a will of their own. They draw power from either the wielder's mana or their life force. The more powerful the artifact, the more dangerous it becomes to use. One wrong move and it could kill him on the spot. The scene cuts to Kang walking down a grand marble-lined corridor with his father and Sophia. Jackson casually mentions that House Jackson has mastered the art of handling these dangerously potent artifacts for generations. As they approach the family vault, he turns to his son and drops the official news. As heir, Kang needs to prepare for battle. Kang's eyes go wide with shock at first, but that quickly turns into pure excitement. Before they enter, Jackson lays down one condition. Kang has to learn how to control the darkness their family commands first. He pushes open the massive vault doors and reveals a chamber absolutely packed with countless artifacts. Kang just stands there in complete awe, his eyes trying to take in the entire collection at once. Jackson presents the Demon King artifacts, relics their ancestors have been guarding since they conquered the Demon King's domain ages ago. He warns his son never to underestimate them. Kang can literally feel the raw, overwhelming mana radiating from every single object in the room. Jackson stresses that each artifact is extremely dangerous and strictly forbids Kang from touching anything until he's learned to control its power. But in that exact moment, both he and Sophia realize something terrible. Kang isn't standing next to them anymore. Panic flashes across Jackson's face as he spins around, only to discover his son has already wandered deep into the vault. Our boy moves through the collection with purpose, searching for something worthy of his ambition. The sentient artifacts practically call out to him, a shield promising the power to vanquish his enemies, rings and amulets hinting at untold strength. Kong pauses, sensing the echo of his past life's grudges resonating from these objects. With a confident smirk, he dismisses them all. None of these are enough. He needs something far stronger if he's going to exact his revenge. Then his eyes land on it, a dark hooded cloak draped over a pedestal. He recognizes it instantly, a shadow cloak, a top-tier relic once wielded by Jackson against the Demon King's army. Its terrifying ability allows the wearer to manifest shadows, making them nearly untouchable in combat. Without a second thought, Kong throws the cloak over his shoulders. Moments later, his father and Sophia arrive, shouting his name in alarm. Too late. Dark tendrils explode from the cloak and wrap around Kong, dragging him into a shadowy void. A commanding otherworldly voice echoes all around him, repeatedly proclaiming its hunger. This isn't just some ordinary shadow artifact. Its former wielder turned it into a sentient weapon. To master it, the host has to completely dominate the creature's will. Kang's lips curve into a determined smirk as a monstrous shadow entity descends upon him. The trial of dominance begins. Outside the void, Jackson and Sophia watch anxiously as the cloak engulfs Kang, forming a massive orb of pure darkness around him. Time drags on and Jackson's concern intensifies with every second. He explains that if the trial goes on too long, Kang could lose his mind completely and be consumed by the shadow. Sophia turns to him in alarm and asks what they can do. Jackson's expression hardens. They'll have to intervene by force. Just as Jackson moves to intervene, the dark sphere starts shuddering violently. With an explosive surge, the shadows blast outward in every direction, revealing Kang standing completely unharmed at the center. The cloak now fits him perfectly. He calmly steps out and answers his father's call like nothing happened. Sophia rushes to his side, worry written all over her face, asking if he's okay. Kang just grins and reassures her he's totally fine. The trial only left a minor sting, no big deal. His casual attitude leaves Sophia absolutely stunned. How is a child capable of enduring the mental strain of subduing such a malevolent artifact? Having successfully tamed his first relic, Kang boldly asks for permission to try on the other artifacts too. The audacious request leaves both Jackson and Sophia completely speechless. After a long resigned sigh, Jackson reluctantly agrees. Kang thanks him enthusiastically and immediately dashes deeper into the vault, ready to spend the entire day and night exploring every powerful relic in sight. A few days pass and we find ourselves on the expansive training grounds of the Duckle estate. Ben stares at his nephew with a mixture of shock and concern. "Is that really the shadow cloak you're wearing?" he asks, worrying edging into his voice. Kang confirms it with a cheerful nod like it's the most normal thing in the world. Ben reminds him that the artifact is notoriously difficult to control. Kang waves off his uncle's concern, explaining that aside from a faint tingling sensation, everything's perfectly fine. With a playful grin, he offers an imaginative explanation. Maybe the cloak was just lonely. Right on cue, a small toothy shadow creature slithers out from the cloak and circles around his feet. Kang claims it just wanted some companionship. Ben bursts out laughing at the whimsical idea and teases his nephew for being way too kind-hearted. The shadow creature lets out a shrill, indignant screech in protest. Kang thanks his uncle for the compliment while casually pressing his foot down on the creature's head to shut it up. Once the light-hearted moment passes, Kang gets serious and proposes a real sparring match. He wants genuine combat practice. Ben's eyes widen in surprise at the bold request, but his shock quickly transforms into pure excitement. The seasoned swordmaster's body shimmers with a powerful blue aura. This is one of the continent's legendary 7 swordmasters standing before him. Kang immediately feels the crushing weight of that pressure, but Ben notices his nephew's hesitation and offers a reassuring smile. He promises to use only basic sword techniques without any aura enhancement. Kang's expression hardens. He questions inwardly whether his uncle really intends to hold back, knowing full well that the creed of a knight demands sincere combat. But Kang has a hidden plan of his own. Shadows begin creeping up from the ground around him, revealing his true objective to test the shadow cloak in live combat. The power of the weapons he can form through the cloak's dark entities will determine its actual potential. This duel is a crucial trial. Kang strikes first with resolve, unleashing a rapid volley of shadow blades straight at Ben. His uncle calmly swings his massive sword in a single devastating arc and shatters every projectile through sheer brute force. Kang just stands there, stunned at his uncle's incredible strength. The attack got nullified by raw physical might alone. Ben lets out a booming laugh, praising the young master's skill before charging forward with blinding speed. Kang nimbly dodges the first swing and immediately counters by manipulating the shadows from his cloak. They erupt all around Ben in a violent surge. A barrage of jagged shadow spikes shoots up from the ground, aiming to trap the swordmaster where he stands. Ben remains completely calm and examines the attack with genuine fascination. He casually grabs one of the spikes with his gauntlet and effortlessly stops it dead. Kang's eyes go wide at the absurd strength his uncle possesses. With a powerful leap, Ben brings his enormous sword crashing down in a devastating overhead strike. Kang barely manages to conjure a shadowy shield to absorb the force. The impact is tremendous. It sends him skidding backward across the training ground and leaves deep gouges in the earth. Ben looks genuinely astonished and notes that his nephew just blocked an attack capable of snapping ordinary swords clean in two. Kang recognizes the colossal gap between a conventional weapon and the shadow cloak he's wielding right now. Fired up, Ben calls for 10 more exchanges and the duel continues at lightning speed. From the sidelines, the other knights whisper in complete disbelief. They're forced to acknowledge that none of them have ever survived more than 2 exchanges against their captain. The skill gap between themselves and young Master Kang feels overwhelming. A few days later, on the eve of deployment, Elena makes one final attempt to stop her son. Holding his infant sister in her arms, she pleads with Kang. She can't let him face such danger. Kang kneels beside her and offers reassurance. He reminds her that his father and Ben will be there to protect him. Elena remains tense, worry carved into every line of her face. Kang's expression turns solemn. He explains that he needs to grow stronger so that one day he can bear the responsibility of the dukedom. Gently patting his sleeping sister, he continues, "When that time comes, he'll need the strength to safeguard her, their mother, and their father. This is why he needs the experience now." Looking up with earnest eyes, he begs her to let him grow powerful enough to protect them all. Moved by his resolve, Elena's worried expression softens into a tender, approving smile. She gives in and grants him permission to go. With her blessing, she sends her son on his way. Kang mounts his horse and promises to return safely, determination burning in his eyes. At first light, the temporary military encampment is buzzing with activity as troops assemble everywhere. Ben reports to Jackson that the soldiers are fully prepared and ready to move out. Jackson acknowledges the update, then turns toward his son. He surprises Kang by instructing him to give the order to march in his place. He explains that the prestigious Black Cavalry will answer solely to Kang one day. As his father speaks, something profound settles in Kang's chest. These knights are his to command, not the battle-worn legacy of Hansung from his past life. A renewed sense of purpose surges through him. This is his first battle as their leader, and he swears to himself the outcome will be different this time. Kang rides to the front, lifts his fist high and issues a commanding cry, directing the proud swords of House Jackson to advance. In perfect unison, the cavalry raises their lances and voices. Their roar echoes like thunder across the snowy expanse. As the troops push forward through the forest, the mission details become crystal clear. The force consists of 250 cavalrymen reinforced by the elite Winter Wardens. Their target? Roughly 1,000 orcs. The strategy calls for a preemptive strike, cross the treacherous fast-flowing river at its lower reaches, and launch a surprise assault. The commander realizes there's only one way to get all 250 men across the deep water quickly. Right at that moment, Sophia appears, her presence framed by a delicate cascade of magical snowflakes. She instructs the soldiers to step aside and announces she'll conjure a bridge of ice. Kang's heart lifts at the sight of his master, deeply moved by her willingness to help, despite her pacifist principles. With a commanding display of magic, Sophia freezes the entire raging river and crafts a colossal, sturdy bridge of solid ice. She gestures toward her creation, granting passage to the troops. As Jackson and Kang ride across, Sophia wishes them victory. Jackson expresses his gratitude while Kang turns back to his master and promises to return safely. Sophia watches silently, a strange warmth tugging at her heart. Tears prick her eyes even as she smiles fondly, her thoughts lingering on the boy she trained and the concern he inspires in her. The battle erupts at the crude orc encampment nestled in a ravine. The ambush explodes into chaos as the Winter Warden's elite archers, clad in white, rain a devastating storm of fire arrows upon the unsuspecting orcs. Flames consume the camp instantly, spreading slaughter and panic. One colossal survivor bellows a furious roar into the burning sky. Seeing his chance, Ben gives the signal and the cavalry charges in like a black tidal wave of death. Their lances drop, forming a brutal wedge that's about to absolutely wreck these orcs. Meanwhile, our boy is watching all this go down from a cliff with his father Jackson and Ben. The commander turns to the young master, asking what he thinks of the battle. Kang analyzes it like he's some kind of tactical genius, pointing out how the Cole lance formation with aura reinforcement is leaving the orcs completely helpless. He coldly concludes the initial clash is totally one-sided. His father nods, confirming that this overwhelming strength is exactly what their cavalry is known for. But Ben isn't about to let them get cocky. He reminds Kang this is just the opening move. The real battle hasn't even started yet. Down on the battlefield, the surviving orcs scramble to form a defensive line, desperately raising their shields to block the next wave. Ben watches them panic and decides to pull back, regroup, and hit them with rotating charges instead. A magical flare shoots into the sky, and the troops execute a clean tactical withdrawal, leaving the orcs completely confused about what just happened. That's when things go south. A lone knight gets spotted struggling against a group of enemies. The orcs are about to turn him into a kebab, and his horse takes a hit, throwing him straight to the ground. Kang's expression darkens as he quietly mourns the guy who's about to die. Then Ben's voice cuts through the air, cold as ice. One life down. Kang's mind races. He can't believe how detached they are about watching one of their own die. Horror washes over him as a massive orc lumbers toward the downed knight, battle axe raised high and ready to split the poor guy in half. Our boy realizes he's only got one shot at this. Orside skin is way tougher than your average monster, and the standard ice bolt formula just isn't going to cut it. With lightning-fast calculations, he modifies the spell on the fly, adding a high-precision sniping enhancement and a ballistic trajectory adjustment for maximum stability. A complex magic circle materializes as Kang focuses his mana into a spell he casually names Ice Bolt Barrett M98B, like he's creating a weapon instead of casting magic. Just as the orc raises its weapon for the killing blow, our boy unleashes it. A brilliant concentrated beam of ice shoots across the entire battlefield, nailing the orc right in the head with absolutely lethal precision. Up on the cliffside, Jackson and Ben are left completely speechless. Jackson can only stare in disbelief at the insane accuracy his son just pulled off from that distance, witnessing firsthand just how deadly this kid's ingenuity really is. Then Kang does something absolutely reckless. He spurs his horse forward and charges straight into the chaos. Ben shouts a warning, but Jackson raises his hand to stop him, voice calm but commanding. "Let him be," he says, a proud smile crossing his face. Jackson just marvels at his son's genius, crafting an original, devastating magical formula at such a young age. It's a testament to how sophisticated Kang's inner world really is. Down on the ground, our MC quickly scans the rapidly shifting battlefield. The orcs are regrouping, and two problems immediately smack him in the face. First, the fallen knight is still frozen in fear and hasn't recovered. Second, Kang realizes his powerful ice formula is way too slow and cumbersome for close combat. He needs to simplify it, condense the spell like reducing a complex equation to its core. As the next orc charges at him, Kang reworks the formula on the fly, streamlining it into something faster and more precise. With a confident smirk, he unleashes his newly forged creation, Ice Bullet. The spell shoots forth from his galloping horse, striking the charging orc directly in the skull. Blood and gore erupt everywhere as the body crumples right in front of the stunned knight. The warrior looks up in complete disbelief, recognizing his young master and silently questioning why the hell Kang would risk himself for a nobody like him. Calmly dismounting, Kang offers a reassuring smile. "Do not fear. Jackson's sword never abandons its loyalty." The knight's eyes glisten with gratitude, but there's zero time to get emotional. More orcs surge forward, and they look pissed. Unfazed, our boy raises his hand and channels the formidable power of his shadow cloak. A swirling aura of deep purple energy envelops him as he unleashes Shadow Blade. Dark tendrils erupt from the earth itself, slicing effortlessly through the charging orcs like butter. A grim, satisfied smile appears on his face as he issues the final command, directing the shadows to consume their prey. One lone orc just stares in utter confusion before a massive vortex of pure darkness swallows it whole. Shadows lash out with lethal precision. A tendril decapitates one orc while another shadow beast tears into its companion, leaving nothing but trembling terror behind. In an absolutely horrifying display, the creature devours its victim entirely, leaving only a skeletal husk. Turning to the last surviving orc, Kang greets it with an almost cheerful smile before casually firing another ice bullet, eliminating the final threat like he's taking out the trash. He wipes a smear of blood from his cheek and turns to the rescued knight. "It's done," he says. The knight, still completely shaken from nearly dying, can only stammer Kang's name while admitting his legs literally won't work anymore. With a faint, strained smile, our boy just hoists the fully grown man into his arms like he weighs nothing. "We made it," he says brightly, radiating calm confidence like he didn't just massacre a bunch of orcs. That's when Ben arrives with the rest of the Black Cavalry. Kang glances at his uncle with a casual nod. "I'll leave the rest to you," he says, like he's handing off a simple errand instead of a battlefield cleanup. Inspired by the young master's display, Ben rallies the cavalry and sends them charging forward with renewed ferocity. The knights thunder across the field, their loyalty to House Jackson and their young master Kang resounding in every war cry. Back at the Jacksons' encampment, the orc incursion gets declared officially crushed. But instead of getting praise, Jackson summons his son to the command tent with a stern expression that screams, "You're in trouble. Explain why you charged alone into enemy lines," he demands, voice sharp with reproach. Kang is completely bewildered. He just saved a life. Why the hell is he getting yelled at? Inside the tent, Jackson's gaze bores into him, demanding an answer. Our MC responds respectfully, stating he acted to fulfill his future responsibility, and reminding his father that these knights are the men he'll one day lead. Jackson's eyes narrow. "Your reasoning is weak," he says flatly, completely unconvinced. Kang's mind races, trying to comprehend his father's cold assessment. He's utterly confused. Gathering his courage, he asks, "Father, why did you just stand by and watch one of our own fall?" Jackson's expression hardens even more. This domain faces constant threats. Knights cannot wait for salvation. They must endure or perish. He continues, tone severe yet measured. "By rushing to the rescue, you risk planting a dangerous belief that someone will always save them. How many knights clinging to dependency could survive on a true battlefield? His voice drops lower. Our duty is to sharpen blades, to push ourselves to the limit. Only then will I, as their lord, intervene. That is the weight of House Jackson's legacy. Kang listens, recognizing the cold, brutal logic in his father's words, a harsh truth he'd completely forgotten in his new life. It's a grim reality check that hits hard. As the lesson sinks in, Jackson's demeanor finally softens. He places a hand on Kang's shoulder. I am impressed by your resolve. Never lose that spirit, he says, almost warmly. Kang acknowledges the guidance with a firm, respectful salute, accepting both the praise and the criticism. With the fatherly instruction complete, Jackson declares it's time for his son to return to the castle. And here's where things get ridiculous. The tale of Kang rescuing the fallen knight spreads like wildfire, quickly becoming the subject of absolutely wild gossip. The story rapidly grows into an exaggerated legend claiming he single-handedly slaughtered 1,000 orcs. Our boy, deeply embarrassed by these insane stories, can only try to hide his reddening face as people keep bringing it up. A few days later at the training grounds, Kang gets met with an entire line of knights kneeling in respect, their reverence almost overwhelming. Completely flustered, he tries to insist that all this formality is totally unnecessary. At that moment, Ben shows up grinning like an idiot, proudly urging his nephew to stand tall and accept the praise. Rallying the knights, he proclaims, they must all grow stronger for their young master. The assembled warriors roar their agreement like Kang just won them a championship. Our boy can only respond with an awkward, self-conscious smile, genuinely touched by their unwavering devotion, but also dying from embarrassment. A maid soon announces the arrival of guests from House Orhart. Ben prepares to escort Kang to meet them, and our MC recognizes the significance immediately. House Orhart, once a prestigious noble house of the fallen Teutonia kingdom that got absolutely destroyed by the Empire, is now led by the legendary divine sword Bardel himself. Observing his uncle, Kang notices a subtle shift in Ben's expression. He's clearly recalling the revered figure who guided him into knighthood. Aware this meeting could get tense real quick, Kang and Ben cautiously peer into the throne room. Jackson and Elena are seated, awaiting the visitors with formal composure. An attendant announces the guests, and Jackson instructs Kang and Ben to escort them inside. A woman dressed in formal attire, her face partially hidden beneath a veiled hat, enters with a young blonde-haired girl. She introduces herself as Vanessa, bowing respectfully to Jackson, then presents her daughter, Charlotte. The young girl's expression is absolutely fiery and defiant, and Kang immediately senses trouble brewing. Charlotte suddenly confronts her mother, demanding angrily why she's showing deference to these people. Vanessa desperately tries to calm her down, but the girl is having none of it. Jackson smoothly intervenes, displaying understanding for Vanessa's hardships. To diffuse the awkwardness, he asks Kang to escort Lady Charlotte around the castle, basically dumping the angry teenager on our MC. Kang, polite and composed, offers his hand with a gentle smile, inviting her to follow him like a perfect gentleman. Charlotte, however, recoils and delivers a sharp slap, warning him not to touch her. Kang is completely stunned by the hostile response, and the sudden outburst leaves the entire throne room in shocked silence. That's not the kind of first impression anyone expected. Vanessa hurries forward, mortified, scolding her daughter and demanding an apology, but Charlotte just ignores her, letting out a frustrated cry before storming from the room and slamming the door behind her like an angsty teen in a drama. In the tense quiet that follows, Vanessa apologizes profusely for her daughter's behavior, explaining that recent events have left Charlotte emotionally shaken. Elena, genuinely concerned, asks what happened. Vanessa's expression darkens. She reveals that a new overseer, Count Brandenburg, infamously known as the Pig King, has been assigned to their lands. In his twisted, disgusting pursuit of an heir, he preys upon skilled swordsmen's families, and his vile obsession has extended even to young Charlotte herself. The girl barely escaped his grasp, but the traumatic memory is still vivid and raw. Vanessa concludes her explanation with a desperate plea, begging Jackson to take her daughter under the protection of House Jackson, ensuring Brandenburg can never lay his filthy hands on her again. Meanwhile, our boy finds Charlotte wandering aimlessly around the training grounds. He calls out to her and she turns, still visibly upset and radiating teenage angst. He asks if she even knows where she's headed, but she replies defiantly that she doesn't care. With a friendly smile, he inquires about her hand, the one she bruised by slapping him earlier, and she confirms it's fine, though her tone suggests she'd do it again. Observing her closely, Kang notices traces of tears and recognizes that beneath all this abrasive attitude, she's still just a frightened child, trying desperately to look strong. Then Charlotte's demeanor shifts entirely. Her eyes blaze with sudden determination as she draws her sword with swift, practiced precision. She points it directly at him, commanding the young master of House Jackson to engage her in a duel right here, right now. Kang just stands there frozen for a moment, utterly astonished by the sheer boldness and aggression of her demand. This girl really doesn't hold back. Charlotte points her blade at Kang. She demands a fight. Kang just smirks. He's the guy who killed 1,000 orcs to save one knight. No big deal. Charlotte isn't amused. She's going to beat him. The unbeatable prodigy. She'll prove her strength. Show the world she can protect her house alone. Kang asks who her real enemy is. Charlotte doesn't hesitate. Count Brandenburg, the holy swordsman. Rage explodes through Kang, that pig king. The Empire's traitor who killed him in his past life. That bastard. But his mind shifts. They have the same enemy. Charlotte could be useful, but first she needs a reality check. Kang walks to the practice swords, grabs a short wooden blade, turns back with a smirk. She's just a naive kid, doesn't know real combat. He tells her to attack. With everything she's got, Charlotte grits her teeth and lunges. Her rapier glows with a green aura. She unleashes what she thinks is a devastating strike. Kang blocks it with his wooden training blade. Like it's nothing. Their swords clash. Sparks fly. Charlotte attacks again and again. Kang meets every strike with calm precision. He reads her movements like a book he's already memorized. While fighting, Kang studies her technique, skillful deflections, precise wrist flicks. She channels aura to handle a weapon too heavy for her small frame. She's actually talented for her age. The duel intensifies. Charlotte taps deeper into her aura, pushes beyond normal limits. Desperate to land even one hit, their blades collide. Massive burst of energy, both slide backward across the snow. Kang feels grudging admiration. Despite everything, she's a true knight. Charlotte thinks she's found an advantage. Her lips curve into a confident smile. She renews her assault with everything she's got. A precise stab that Kang barely deflects. Her aura crackles around her blade. She believes she's gained the upper hand. Memories surge through her mind. Her father, the legendary divine sword, was gone before she was born, but her mother's endless stories instilled a sense of duty in her. Safeguard their house no matter what. Even after the kingdom fell and their house was disgraced, her training never stopped. Not for a single day. That burning memory fuels her attacks now, but Kang continues countering every move, like he's toying with her. Charlotte unleashes one final furious strike. A cry of pure frustration escapes her lips. She pours everything into this last attack. Kang parries it with casual ease, executes a single counter, knocks her rapier clean from her grasp. It spins through the air and lands in the snow with a pathetic thud. Charlotte sinks to her knees, stares at her fallen blade. Tears form in her eyes. She demands to know why. Why can't she win, no matter how hard she tries? Kang's response is simple and brutal. She can't win because she's not the divine sword himself. His tone softens slightly. Her pride and determination are admirable. But then the hard truth. In her current state, she can't protect her house from Count Brandenburg. Not even close. The words strike deep. Charlotte's tears flow freely. She admits she's terrified of her enemy's strength. She looks up at Kang with tear-streaked eyes, asks desperately what she should do. Kang's voice goes solemn. He swears by his family name to serve as the guardian of House Orhart. Charlotte gapes at him, completely stunned. What the hell is he talking about? Kang holds her rapier carefully. Make a promise. Until the day she's strong enough to defeat Count Brandenburg herself, he and House Saxon will be her shield. Charlotte questions his motives immediately. Why would he do this? Kang extends her sword toward her, answers simply. Her blade and what it represents is worth protecting. Then he gives her a condition. Swear to serve as a sword for him and House Saxon in return. Charlotte contemplates for a long moment. Then a small but determined smile breaks across her face. She accepts, kneels properly, takes her oath, raises her voice, solemn and unwavering. She swears upon her honor as a knight. It might look like nothing, just two kids playing at nobility, but the determination behind their words is undeniable. They've forged a true pact on these snow-dusted training grounds. Later that afternoon, they made it official with the adults. At Lady Vanessa's request, Charlotte gets inducted as a ward of House Saxon. Duke Saxon's eyes widened in mild surprise. His son just accepted this arrangement without hesitation. He asks what exactly happened between them. Kang recounts the events. He and Charlotte exchanged promises, invoked the Saxon name to bind their oaths. The Duke's face darkens, a hint of reproach in his tone. Did Kang call upon their family name out of pity for some unfortunate girl? Kang's reply is firm. No, he didn't. He outlines his rationale with measured confidence. Charlotte is the sole descendant of the legendary divine sword. She has extraordinary potential. This pact secured a formidable ally for the future. His true goal? Cultivate a new wielder of the divine sword, one who will serve their duchy with unwavering loyalty. The Duke, initially surprised by his son's strategic mind, allows a proud smile to grace his features. He says simply, with satisfaction and quiet pride, "Good." Kang reflects inwardly. The last living heir of the divine sword's lineage is now safely under House Saxon's roof. He just dealt a significant blow to that wretched piece of garbage. The Pig King. The scene shifts to Malberg, the former capital of the fallen Teutonia kingdom, now a shadow of its former self. Inside the castle walls, Pig King is seething with rage. He slams a wine glass onto his desk. It shatters. Shards scatter everywhere. He demands furiously how the insolent Saxons dared to move first, how they claimed Charlotte right from under his nose. A subordinate bows nervously, offers a pathetic apology. Pig King's fist crashes against the desk. He berates his incompetent men, useless fools who can't even capture a single young girl. How hard could it be? The subordinates stammer nervously. Assassins were dispatched as ordered, but they were all brutally slain before reaching the Saxon estate. They suspect Charlotte herself fended them off with her own blade. Disgusted, Pig King waves them away. Worthless trash. A memory flashes. The dark moment he stabbed Kang in the back. Like a coward. In the present, he holds the legendary holy sword Durandal with disturbing reverence. Address it like a person. With a twisted, leering smile that makes your skin crawl, he whispers to Charlotte, calls her his beloved fiancée, tells the blade to wait just a little longer for their reunion. He swears he'll secure the perfect heir to inherit this sword, no matter the cost. He turns to his cowering subordinate, orders immediate contact with the Thieves' Guild, send their shadiest operatives straight into Saxon territory. His command is simple: capture Charlotte at any cost, no matter how many bodies it takes. A week passes since Charlotte pledged her oath in the snow. She adapts surprisingly well to her new role, endures the rigorous discipline of maid training while also sparring with Kang daily. This girl doesn't know the meaning of rest. On the training grounds, Ben acts as referee. His voice resonates through the courtyard. He asks if both are ready. Kang responds with casual confidence. Charlotte gives a brief grunt. Her lips curl into a faint smile. She's been waiting for this. At Ben's command, their blades clash instantly. Steel rings, sparks fly. Kang moves swiftly and fluidly. His twin short swords weave a deadly pattern. He presses forward aggressively. Charlotte meets his strikes with steady precision. Her focus is unwavering despite the pressure. They're going at it like their lives depend on it. Ben observes in silence. A flicker of disbelief crosses his face. Are these seriously children? Their speed, intensity, and lethal intent speak of seasoned fighters far beyond their years. The duel continues in a blur until Kang draws his cloak forward, conceals his sword from view. The feint catches Charlotte off guard. Irritation flashes across her face. Before she can retaliate, Ben intervenes, appears between them in a blink. His hand catches her wrist. Her blade halts inches from Kang's cheek. Ben commends both. Call it an excellent exchange. Charlotte brushes off the praise. Demands to know what she still lacks to beat Kang. She's not here for participation trophies. Ben asks her a pointed question. Does she understand the rapier's true nature? Thrusting. She answers firmly. Ben shakes his head slowly. The rapier's essence lies not in its thrust, but in its footwork. Ben breaks down their final exchange. Points out how Kang sidestepped her strike and closed the distance. At that moment, she should have widened her stance, reset her range. The farther you extend your arm with a rapier, the more unstable it becomes. You sacrifice precision and strength. His verdict is brutal. Charlotte needs to rebuild her fundamentals from the ground up. The declaration strikes hard. She stands there silent, utterly indignant. She finally retorts defensively. She never had a proper teacher to correct her mistakes. Ben smiles warmly. You do now. He vows to personally correct that self-taught stance of hers. Kang tries to mediate as her temper flares. Ben only chuckles, teases that she looks adorable when angry. Their bickering carries on while Kang observes from the sidelines, staying out of the crossfire. He senses the raw potential within Charlotte, wonders how far she might ascend under a true swordmaster like Ben. At the same time, he reminds himself he has much farther to go before reaching his old level. The scene shifts to his magic lessons under Sophia. She's explaining the arduous process of forming mana circles, a grueling task that takes decades for most mages to accomplish, even once. Yet Kang has advanced with astonishing speed. Sophia asks, visibly shocked, whether he's completed his second circle. Kang calmly confirms it. No big deal. A mage's circle strength gets measured in revolutions per minute, RPM. A typical first circle mage manages around 300 RPM. Kang's first circle, 2000 RPM. His second circle is already spinning at 400 RPM, more than enough to begin forming a third. This kid is speedrunning the magic system. Kang decides to test how much stronger he's gotten. He refines his ice bullet spell, focuses on reinforcing its molecular structure, increases its density and hardness, projects a magical barrel to accelerate its rotation and velocity. He fixes his eyes on a distant tree, unleashes his modified creation, ice bullet armor-piercing round. The projectile tears through the air with devastating force, strikes its target dead on, detonates into a violent burst of freezing energy. When the icy mist disperses, only a smoking crater remains. The tree is gone. Sophia stares in disbelief at the destruction, utterly stunned. Kang remains perfectly composed, analyzes the results quietly, notes with satisfaction how the second circle multiplied the spell's power exponentially. Sophia's astonishment softens into genuine pride. She tells him his progress is extraordinary. He replies with practiced modesty. It's only because of her excellent guidance. Her expression softens even more. She remembers that night he saved everyone from the assassins, his selfless resolve ever since. A surge of maternal affection washes over her. Without warning, she steps forward, pulls him into a gentle embrace, whispers that he's her proud student. The sudden closeness catches Kang off guard. His cheeks flush bright red. His supposedly mature mind scrambles to comprehend this moment. He's mentally a grown man trapped in a kid's body getting hugged by his attractive teacher. His brain short-circuits. The next dawn finds him alone in the courtyard. Pale morning light washes over him. He practices in silence. Still can't shake the memory of Sophia's hug. She probably just sees me as a child, he mutters, shaking his head. Forces himself to focus back on training. He summons a jagged ice wall before him. Prepares a new variation of his spell, this time with a shotgun spread pattern. Ice bullet 12-gauge 00 buckshot. The main projectile shatters mid-air, scatters into dozens of smaller ice shards. They tear into the ice wall in rapid, devastating bursts. The fragments ricochet toward him. He calmly summons a hexagonal barrier, deflects them easily. Satisfied with the results, he smiles faintly, makes a mental note to attempt a slug round next time. Just then, a familiar voice calls out his name from behind. Kang turns toward the sound. Charlotte emerges from between the snow-laden trees. She remarks with a slight smile that she finally discovered his secret training spot. Kang asks if she's been practicing as well. She nods enthusiastically. She's been working on the footwork techniques Ben drilled into her. Kang comments that she seems to genuinely enjoy swordsmanship. The observation catches Charlotte off guard. She pauses, then nods in quiet agreement. She really does love it. A brief silence follows. She hesitates, clearly trying to work up courage to say something. After fumbling for words, she finally blurts out an apology. She behaved rudely when they first met. She spent days reflecting on her conduct. Kang agrees completely. She had indeed been quite rude. Charlotte freezes in disbelief at his shameless honesty. Then his expression breaks into a genuine grin. He adds cheerfully that he'll forgive her this one time. No need to be so formal going forward. Charlotte lets out a soft laugh, nods gratefully. The tension evaporates. They stand side by side in the snow-covered forest. Neither fills the silence with pointless chatter. Charlotte looks around at the winter scenery, remarks softly that she loves the weather here. She can swing her sword until late into the night. The cool air soothes her exhausted body afterward. Kang listens silently. His gaze softens. Charlotte smiles while talking about her passion. Her words resonate with something deep within him. That same dedication to training, that same drive to improve. He returns her smile. In that winter stillness, they share a rare, peaceful moment beneath the falling snow. Duke Saxon and Elena are watching from the castle balcony as their son trains with Charlotte in the courtyard below. Elena mentions how quickly time has passed and how much their boy has grown. The Duke nods, watching them with a satisfied look. He notices how natural Kang and Charlotte are together. Their bond seems effortless. The couple decides to watch over them and let things develop naturally. Elena believes it's her duty to support her son in whatever path he chooses. The scene shifts to the city slums, a place of worn streets where the Empire's poor barely get by. Kang's mother Elena has been doing charity work here for years, providing food, clothing, and jobs to those in need. This year, both Kang and Charlotte joined her efforts, accompanying her on each visit. During one visit, a young boy suddenly runs straight toward Charlotte. His face is wet with tears, his voice shaking. He begs for help, saying his mother is in danger. He asks Charlotte to come with him. Charlotte's expression shifts to concern. She agrees to follow him without hesitation. Kang stays close behind, not letting her go alone. As they go deeper into the winding alleys, Kang's instincts kick in. Something feels off. The streets grow narrower and dimmer. He suddenly notices how far they've strayed from their escort nights. Way too far. Then it hits him. Why would this boy ask Charlotte, a literal child, for help instead of any of the adults? This is a setup. He scans their surroundings. His gaze catches movement on a nearby rooftop. A hooded figure watching them. He spots an emblem on the man's sleeve. The mark of the Thieves Guild, subordinates of the Pig King. Their target is Charlotte. The boy leads them into an isolated alleyway, then suddenly stops. Mutters that he'll go fetch his mother and vanish. Several cloaked figures emerge from every direction, surrounding Kang and Charlotte. They've been boxed in. Their green-haired leader steps forward with a mocking smirk. He sneers, asking what two sheltered noble kids are doing in a dangerous place like this. He adds coldly that they only need the girl. Kang should turn around and leave while he still can. Kang doesn't move. A faint smile crosses his face. He's not going anywhere. He steps in front of Charlotte like a shield. He will protect the daughter of House Orhart, no matter what. The leader chuckles, calls Kang's resolve admirably foolish. With a cruel grin, he warns that this spoiled boy is about to learn a harsh lesson. The thugs pull out their daggers. Blades shine in the shadows. Charlotte leans in close, voice shaking. She forgot her sword. Kang just smiles calmly, tells her to relax. Inside his head, though, he's grinning. This is the perfect opportunity to test his new technique. The assassins don't waste time. They leap from the rooftops. That's when things get wild. A massive burst of dark violet energy explodes from Kang's shadow cloak, swirls like a violent tornado. The shockwave blasts through the alley, sending thugs flying backward like ragdolls. The green-haired leader's eyes go wide. He screams at his crew to move, and barely manages to dive aside. Kai watches him dodge with cold eyes. This guy is fast, probably some high-ranking thief, but not fast enough. One unlucky assassin isn't quick enough. The dark vortex snatches him right out of the air and drags him into the churning shadows. Kang's eyes light up. His spell does exactly what he designed it to do. This is his latest creation, an experimental technique he made after forming his second mana circle. By mixing parasitic shadow entities into the wind currents, he turned basic movement into a deadly weapon. The results are brutal. From inside the swirling darkness, something crawls out, a grotesque fanged monster made of pure shadow. It lunges at the trapped assassin and merges with his body. The man's screams echo through the alley. He convulses violently. The shadow creature devours his life force from the inside out. Nothing left but a hollow corpse. The other thieves stand frozen, faces twisted in terror. But Kang isn't done. The shadows around him gather, growing thicker, darker. They form into something massive. A towering corpse-like monster of sinew and shadow takes shape, its claws long as swords. Its eyes burn with violet light. The thing opens its mouth and releases an ear-splitting shriek, so loud it shakes the alley walls. One of the thugs gasps, "You, undead." The others stagger backward. The creature's aura crushes down on them. The green-haired leader clenches his jaw. "Attack," he roars. Despite shaking, the men rush forward with desperate cries. The leader decides to handle this himself. He vanishes in a blur of green light. Suddenly there are a dozen copies of him surrounding Kang from every angle. "Let's see you block this, noble brat," he hisses. His hands flick out and launch a storm of glowing daggers dripping with poison. Kang doesn't even flinch. The shadows at his feet explode upward and form a spiraling barrier of darkness. Every single dagger strikes the shield and shatters into sparks. The leader's grin vanishes. Impossible. Kang's eyes narrow. My turn. A brilliant blue magic circle flares beneath his feet. The air crackles with freezing energy. He mutters the spell, Ice Bullet, double-barreled 12-gauge buckshot. Then he fires. A thunderous blast of freezing destruction tears through the air, unleashes a spread of high-velocity ice projectiles like a magical shotgun. The volley catches the leader mid-leap, rips through his limbs and chest, hurls him into the ground. Charlotte, hiding behind a wall, calls out in shock. The alley has turned into a frozen graveyard. Blood stains the stone, bodies scattered everywhere. Standing in the center is Kang, silent and unshaken. His summoned undead monster kneels beside a corpse, tearing into the flesh. The green-haired leader coughs up blood and struggles to get back on his knees. Kang watches him with cold eyes. So this guy is an aura wielder. That explains why he's tougher than the rest. The thief glares at him with defiance burning in his eyes. Still thinks he has a chance. Big mistake. Before he can even move, Kang raises his hand. The shadow cloak flares up. Tendrils of darkness burst outward. Whips of black energy slice through the remaining assassins in a blur. They don't even see it coming. The undead beast joins in, grabs a fleeing man and crushes him with one massive claw. Its roar echoes through the alleyway. When the chaos stops, the silence is deafening. Kang turns away from the carnage. His expression softens. He walks over to Charlotte, trembling against a wall. "Are you hurt?" he asks gently. She shakes her head. Her voice barely comes out. "I'm fine." That's when they hear it, a faint, ragged sound. The last surviving assassin, wounded and terrified, crawls across the ground, drags his mangled leg behind him. He screams as he tries to flee. Kang doesn't hesitate. He conjures a sharp shard of ice beneath his foot and flicks it forward. The projectile shoots through the air, impales the man's leg, pins him to the cobblestone. The undead creature lumbers closer. Its shadows swallow the light. "Wait, please," the man begs. "I'll tell you everything." Kang looks down at him with emotionless eyes. "Everything." The man nods frantically. Kang's expression doesn't change. To him, this guy's words are meaningless. Without another word, he lifts his hand. A single ice bullet shoots forward and pierces the man's skull cleanly. The body slumps to the ground, lifeless. Kang stands there looking down at the corpse. His tone is quiet. "I wasn't particularly interested," he says to no one in particular. The alley goes silent. Darkness swallows the blood-stained street. Charlotte trembles, staring at Kang, who just became the most terrifying person she's ever seen. Kang stands there, dead bodies everywhere. He exhales softly. What she just witnessed is the true face of House Jackson. Terrifying. Necessary. He tells her calmly that this power will protect her. He asks if she's frightened. Charlotte hesitates. "A little," she admits. But then she smiles faintly. "It's all right because you did it for me." Her trembling stops. She meets his gaze. If his family is her shield, she'll become his sword. Determination burns away the fear. She thanks him and swears to become stronger. Kang watches her in silence. Something stirs in his chest. Pride. Sorrow. Something else. He realizes his decision to accept. Charlotte didn't come from her potential as a warrior. Deep inside him lingers the guilt from his former life. Sir Bardell. Her words about becoming his sword carry more meaning than she knows. Meanwhile, far away in Brennenburg Castle, Count Brennenburg loses it. He slams his fist against his desk. The impact rattles the ink bottle beside a sealed letter bearing House Jackson's sigil. An invitation from the Black Jackson himself. The Count's jaw clenches. He mutters a curse. He can't refuse even if he wanted to. Jackson's authority is absolute. Even the Emperor's sword can't defy a direct command. Our boy is trapped. Days later, Pig King arrives at Jackson Castle. The massive gates swing open. At the center of the grand hall sits Jackson on his throne. Standing at his right is Kang, calm and confident. Pig King. Jackson greets him coolly. The Count offers a mocking bow. Why, your grace, what could possibly be more urgent than a personal summons? Inwardly, though, he's sneering. Cunning little vipers. His gaze flicks toward Kang and Charlotte with contempt. Jackson's expression doesn't change. The Empire has expressed concern over the kidnapping attempt within my territory. His eyes sharpen. I believe you understand why you were summoned. Pig King chuckles. Surely your grace doesn't suspect the Emperor's loyal sword of such an act. The moment those words leave his mouth, everything changes. The air shifts. Heavy pressure fills the hall. Darkness pools at Jackson's feet and spreads. The chandeliers tremble. Their light flickers. The temperature drops. Pig King freezes. His smug expression vanishes. The knights glance around nervously. One whispers why there's wind inside the hall. His voice turns into a scream. The shadows come alive. They wrap around the knights one by one. The men vanish, consumed by the abyss. Pig King's breath catches. His proud Magkangna order, the finest warriors of his house, is gone. Obliterated in seconds. The name surfaces in his mind. Ray's Tempest. A legendary spell from the Age of Shadow Monarchs. And our boy Jackson is casting it like it's nothing. Jackson's voice cuts through the chaos. Pig King, kneel. The command hits harder than any blow. Pig King's pride flares up. You dare. But Jackson's gaze silences him. Didn't you hear me? Alan says quietly. There won't be a next time. The Count's body trembles. His knees hit the floor. Rage burns through him. Me, he thinks. The Emperor's sword kneeling before this demon. Jackson looks down at him. Do not mistake my restraint for weakness. This meeting was granted for peace. His tone darkens. But if you ever touch the children of Jackson again, I will erase the Pig King name from this world. Silence fills the hall. Then Jackson leans back. Now Count, warm yourself by the fire before you leave. Wouldn't want you catching a chill. Pig King forces out a smile. Your generosity is overwhelming. Your grace, he says through gritted teeth. But I've overstayed my welcome. Jackson waves his hand. You may go. Kai stands beside his father, silent, but his thoughts race. He watches every moment. The humiliation of Pig King, the weight of his father's power, and our boy understands what this means. The Black Jackson just forced one of the Emperor's vassals to kneel in front of witnesses. That act is going to spread across the Empire. It's a warning that House Jackson isn't to be messed with. Kai's eyes harden. This is the spark that's going to ignite the coming storm. The balance of the Empire is about to shatter, and when that day arrives, their role will be clear. To sever the head of the sword and reshape the fate of the realm. By the time word spreads, Jackson is already in his private study. The air is thick with silence. Before him lay several corpses, the remains of the thieves who struck at Kang. The scent of blood hangs in the air. Standing across from Jackson is Sophia, the renowned instructor. Her expression stays calm, but her eyes show unease. So, she murmurs, these men were killed by the young master. Jackson nods. Yes, every last one. Sophia's gaze lingers on the bodies. Her thoughts waver. Had her teachings led him too far? Had her lessons bred ruthlessness instead of restraint? Jackson senses her doubt. You fear he has strayed, he says, but his gift is unlike any other. If we are to guide that power, it will require understanding, he pauses. And for that, I need your wisdom. Her eyes lift to meet him. I want you to serve House Jackson, not merely as his instructor, but as its chief advisor. The words leave her speechless. To accept means more than honor. It's a binding oath. To stand with the Jacksons is to step into their shadow and share whatever destiny awaits them. Jackson leans back. Kang relies on you more than he realizes. His potential has already begun to surpass even my own. He pauses. To shape him. To teach him how to wield his strength without losing himself. That responsibility falls to you. Silence passes between them. Then Sophia nods. Very well, I will accept. From that moment on, she's not just his teacher. Now she's watching everything. Every thought, every move, every calculation running through Kang's mind. Time passes. It's already Kang's 10th birthday. House Jackson throws a massive party in their banquet hall. But this year is different. Walking through the crowd are several nobles who work directly for the Emperor. Their presence says everything. The biggest name among them, Chris. The second he shows up, all eyes lock onto him. Jackson greets him with the respect he demands, and Chris steps forward to give the young lord a polite little birthday greeting. Laughter and music fill the hall. Guests can't stop gushing about how incredible everything is. The food smells amazing, the decorations are blinding, and the Jacksons' hospitality is next level. They're whispering to each other, shocked that some backwater northern province could pull off something this lavish. All their earlier doubts about the duchy being poor and irrelevant, gone. Standing there watching all this fake politeness, Kang stays silent. He sees right through these guests. They're not here to celebrate. They're the Emperor's central nobles, the core of his faction, and they didn't travel all this way to eat fancy food. This is a power move, a reminder. The imperial family hasn't forgotten what happened with Count Brandenburg, the Sword of Sanctity, and they're making damn sure everyone knows it. And leading this little warning parade is the Emperor's personal messenger, Chris, the Crimson Lord himself. Chris stares at Kang with this faint smile that doesn't reach his eyes. "So this is young Lord Kang," he says, voice smooth but obviously sizing him up. He introduces himself with pride dripping from every word. "Head of the Red Magic Tower, the place that worships raw power and lives by one rule, might makes right." Kang's face stays calm, but inside, his heart's racing with memories he wishes he could forget. In his previous life, the Red Tower tortured him. They used him for sick magical experiments that left scars on his body and his soul. Chris keeps talking, all polite and fake, saying he's heard about this prodigy heir whose magical talent blows everyone else in the Empire out of the water. He brings up the rumors, how at only 9 years old, Kang wiped out an entire orc horde just to protect one of his knights. Truly worthy of Jackson bloodline, he says with this courteous little nod. Kang gives him a faint, polite smile back. "Your words honor me, my lord. Please enjoy the celebration." Then he turns and walks away, feeling every single noble's eyes stabbing into his back. Every year this fake noble nonsense gets more suffocating. He'd rather be training with Charlotte right now. But that's impossible since she got promoted to his mother's lady-in-waiting. And even worse, they have to keep her identity secret. She's the daughter of the sword god, so one slip-up and everything falls apart. Just as he's heading toward the terrace to get some air, a sharp scream rips through the festive music. A man's harsh voice follows, shouting at a disobedient maid. Kang's expression goes cold as he tracks the noise to a dim corridor. There he finds this fatty noble pinning a terrified maid named Eve to the floor. "Let me go," she begs. "I serve House Jackson." Fatty sneers. "How dare a filthy servant speak that name? It's the young lord's birthday. Everyone's celebrating and you'd spoil the mood. Better you entertain me instead." Kang's eyes turn ice cold as he steps forward. "What exactly do you think you're doing?" Fatty freezes, shocked to find the young heir standing right there. He stammers, "You're still young, my lord. Perhaps you've never known a woman?" He presses a knife against Eve's trembling neck. "Shall I teach you?" Ignoring the disgusting provocation, Kang says calmly, "Eve, don't be afraid. You'll be safe soon." A flicker of mana sparks in his palm. Then boom, a burst of frost explodes forward, ice surging straight at Fatty and sending him sprawling across the floor. Kang steps closer. He says, "Kneel, and apologize to Miss Eve. She's a member of House Jackson's household, and you will treat her as such." Fatty's face goes red with rage. "How dare you? I represent Lord Chris." Kang asked him, "Tell me then, does your majesty the emperor take pleasure in violating other men's servants?" The corridor goes dead silent. Fatty's face drains of all color, and even the air seems to freeze. Right at that moment, footsteps echo through the hallway. Jackson, Chris, and several guests enter the corridor, and the tension somehow gets even thicker. Chris looks over the scene with this faint, amused smile. He says, "Now this is quite an intriguing sight." Jackson's gaze shifts to his son. "Kang, what is the meaning of this uproar?" Kang bows slightly. "Father, this fatty attempted to violate one of House Jackson's maids." One of the nobles from the Imperial faction actually chuckles, and for such a petty matter, young Lord Kang would dare treat him with such disrespect. Seeing his chance, Petro drops to his knees and starts whining like a victim. "My Lord Jackson, your son has overstepped. He struck me without cause." Before he even finishes his sentence, Kang stops and asks, "Who allowed you to stand?" Fatty freezes, trembling under the young lord's gaze like a scared animal. Kang turns to face the assembly of nobles. The guests from the imperial capital carry the honor of representing the emperor. Yet this man dared to sully that name by assaulting one of our household servants. His actions were not only shameful, they were an insult to the emperor himself. I could not permit such disgrace. A moment of stunned silence. Then Chris breaks into laughter. He calls it splendid, saying Kang's tongue is as sharp as his father's sword. The young lord is absolutely right. How dare a man representing him commit such filth? His smile turns wicked as he decides to burn this insect alive. Fatty's face goes ghost white. He tries to beg for mercy, but his pathetic plea ends in a scream. Chris raises his hand and conjures this blazing sphere of flame. The fire roars forward and swallows Fatty whole. His cries echo through the hall until silence. Nothing left but ash. Chris bows slightly, like he just did everyone a favor. He declares the young lord's judgment was flawless. To protect his majesty's honor, filth like that must be erased without mercy. Still smiling that dangerous smile, he tells Kang he sees a brilliant future ahead, and may his name resound across the empire. With that, the tension melts away. The emperor's envoys withdraw, and calm slowly creeps back into Jackson Castle. Days pass, and Maid Eve barges into Kang's room to wake him up. He thanks her, expecting her to bounce, but she just stands there like she's got something stuck in her throat. Our boy immediately knows something's up. She finally spits it out, thanking him for what went down on his birthday, and going on about how it's such an honor for someone like her to serve him. Kang raises an eyebrow. Is that really all she wanted to say? For now, he thanks her for the compliment, and reminds himself that as the eldest son of House Jackson, he knows exactly how much weight a name carries, and he plans on weaponizing that name to bring the entire empire crashing down. Soon after, he gets summoned to Jackson's office. His father wastes no time calling him out. Sure, Kang's clever, but his recent behavior is raising some serious red flags. He demands to know what's going on. Kang drops a bomb. Did you know that if the otherworldly hero hadn't died in battle against the divine sword Bardell, the next place that hero's sword would have been swung was right here in the Jackson? His father's face goes red. He's absolutely livid. How could Kang possibly know that? Simple. In his past life, Kang heard all about how the Empire was scheming behind House Jackson's back. The Empire threw the hero away like trash. They were terrified of what would happen if their golden prize snapped its leash, and their obedient hunting dog went absolutely feral on them. So Kang lays it all out. Even after the otherworldly hero took down the Demon King, the Empire didn't bother cleaning up the Demon King's domain. Instead, they sent us completely insane orders to turn that cursed wasteland into Imperial territory, and demanded our house sacrifice everything to make it happen. And they had the audacity to give that land to you. As long as the darkness on that land isn't fully cleansed, our house will keep bleeding, and it won't stop, and it gets worse. People inside the Empire and beyond the northern borders look at House Jackson and call them the Clan of Darkness. Just like they threw the hero under the bus, they'll absolutely try to eliminate anyone who might become a threat from within. It's just a matter of time. His father's eyes narrow. How can Kang be so sure they abandoned the otherworldly hero? Our boy shrugs. These are just deductions I made from reading the records. Logically, it's the only thing that makes sense. Officially, the hero died an honorable death in a fierce battle against the divine sword Bardell, but only a handful of people know the real truth. Kang doesn't stop there. If my theory's right, the Empire is nothing more than a glorified oppressor that conquers weak nations by brute force. His father stares at him, completely stunned. This kid's wisdom is way beyond his years, so he asks the obvious question, what does Kang think they should do going forward? Without even a second of hesitation, Kang says they need to destroy the Empire. His father's eyes go wide. Do you even know what you're suggesting? That doesn't scare Kang one bit. He doubles down with the same confidence. I'm not saying we raise our army and revolt right this second. I'm talking about 10 years from now. His father looks confused. Kang explains, even now, resistance groups across the continent are pushing for independence. There are vassals like you, Jackson, who are terrified the Empire will turn its blade on them next. The economy's shrinking, banditry is spiking every single day, and even though the 7-continent unification ended, the after effects of war have only gotten worse. By then, we'll have built enough strength to protect our house against the Empire. We'll support resistance forces operating in different regions. And he keeps going. Kang lays out his entire master plan to dismantle the Empire piece by piece until the sun finally sets outside the window. When he's done, he asks his father what he thinks. His father is genuinely blown away. This boy can see things even he can't perceive. He's proud, truly proud that Kang is his son. Right then and there, he makes a declaration. From this day forward, Kang is no longer just Jackson's eldest son. He's not some random 10-year-old kid anymore. He's officially the heir who will one day lead House Jackson. And as the head of the house, he promises to listen to Kang and respect his words in all matters going forward. Kang's been waiting for this exact moment since the day he was reborn. The day he finally gains the authority to move House Jackson's power into his own hands. His father tells him to speak freely about whatever decision he's about to make for the family. So Kang asks for permission to take the tower trial in the necropolis. The tower trial. It's basically a ranked game for mages where they go head-to-head with the guardians of the magic tower. Beat higher-ranked guardians, your standing shoots up. The absolute strongest earns the title of Tower Elder, and the one who reaches the very summit, they get crowned Magic Tower Master. His father immediately asks if Kang truly wants to throw himself into something this dangerous and risk his life. It's way too early for that. He hasn't even completed his 3rd circle yet. Kang just casually says he'll achieve it soon. His father's not buying it. Usually reaching the 3rd circle only happens in someone's mid-20s, even for a prodigy like Kang who's already gotten his 2nd circle. That's gonna be difficult. Our boy doesn't flinch. This is for both me and House Jackson. His father raises an eyebrow. Why's that? Kang explains, if I prove myself through the tower trial, my status as your heir becomes rock solid. Plus, I'll build a reputation that's actually trustworthy, not one based on rumors spread by gossip. His father stares at him. You want to use the tower trial for that? Yes. And that's that. A few days later, they arrive at the city of death, Necropolis. Everyone's waiting as Jackson and his son roll up to the location. As people welcome them, Kang can't stop yawning. According to him, he probably pushed himself too hard again. Meanwhile, people start gossiping about the unprecedented genius that is Kang Jackson. Some boys from the academy huddle together whispering. One scoffs, saying it's a complete joke that Kang's swordsmanship is supposedly on par with Jackson's elite knights. Another kid declares, I, top graduate of the academy, am the one destined to win this tower trial. At the entrance, a lady in a sharp white suit with short hair steps forward to greet Jackson and his son. Jackson returns her greeting politely. She's Alia, elder of the tower and secretary general overseeing all administrative duties while the tower master's away. Jackson tells Kang she'll be assisting him during the trial. They both step inside the tower. 59 other participants are already waiting. Alia is now standing on the first floor, facing all the participants. She introduces herself and lays out the steps and rules for the trial. She tells everyone to check the necklace around their necks and pay close attention. This trial, it's Battle Royale style, a life point battle. Each necklace has a shield spell that protects you. When you land a valid hit on an opponent using the corpses scattered across the field, their necklace activates its shield spell and shatters, meaning they're eliminated. The attacker who lands that strike, they gain 1 life point on their necklace. Get your total score to 3 points, and you advance to the next floor. Oh, and one more thing. Anyone caught using artifacts gets disqualified for cheating. Kang listens to all this and immediately thinks it's a quick and easy way to wipe out all the rookies. But then a couple of academy students swagger up to him. They comment on how Kang already achieved the 3rd circle at his age. One of them grins and says, "We gotta take down this monster first." The trial begins. Everyone immediately starts controlling the undead and attacking whoever's closest. More than one student gangs up on Kang at the same time, but our boy just stands there, completely calm, not even a hint of panic. He's already controlled his own undead and starts using them as literal meat shields. Then Kang whips out some water magic, blasts one of the opponent's undead, and smashes it to pieces. The student controlling it freezes. His brain catches up and he realizes Kang's a dual element mage. Another student tries attacking from behind like a coward, but Kang's undead shields him with ice armor on its back. The undead immediately spins around and smacks the attacker's undead right across the face. One of the other students starts whining that using water element spells breaks the rules. He argues that only necromancy and magic that controls the undead are allowed. All other forms of enhancement are forbidden. Kang doesn't even blink. He calmly explains there's no rule saying he can only strengthen the undead with dark magic. Besides, the fact that the trial hasn't been stopped means he's completely right. That pisses the opponent off, but there's nothing he can do about it. So they all decide to try a different strategy. Overwhelm Kang with sheer numbers. Since using an artifact is banned, Kang has no choice but to rely on his other skill. He dashes toward an undead that's carrying a sword. As the sword swings at him, he stops it cold with just his right hand. Then he infuses mana into his left and punches the absolute hell out of that undead. Now he's got a sword, and he uses it to obliterate every single other undead coming his way. The whole class is watching as Kang reforges the basic bone sword between each fight, buffing up its durability over and over again, and the students can't believe what they're seeing because mages aren't supposed to handle swords with this level of skill. Yet here he is cutting through opponents with flawless technique. One by one he takes them down with clean efficiency, and by the time he reaches the last opponent, the guy is begging for forgiveness and promising to surrender right there on the spot. Kang replies that he wasn't planning to kill him anyway, just needed that necklace hanging around his neck. When it's over, he stands there as the sole survivor with 60 life points intact, relishing the attention because this is his first real step forward in the tower trial's 2nd tier. The 2nd tier test requires defeating a guardian creation known as a flesh golem, and normally surviving candidates from the 1st tier would cooperate with one another to take down the monster. But Kang had already eliminated them all in the previous round. The rules have changed now, because unlike the 1st tier where magic use was restricted, all forms of magic are now permitted, though the no artifacts rule still applies. For Kang, though, this is more than enough, and this is the perfect opportunity to test the limits of his 3rd circle. The flesh golem comes out, and instead of attacking it directly, he coats the golem's hand with mana and activates accelerated decay. Everyone watching is astonished to see the flesh begin rotting in real time. Yahello is staring at the display, wondering why he chose to make it rot instead of just destroying it with firepower. But back in his previous life, when he was facing monsters, Kang had learned that this strategy was just as critical as raw destructive power. It was called biochemical warfare. He glances at the stunned faces around him and wonders if they even realize what they're witnessing. The grotesque process of biochemical warfare now being expressed through black magic. That day, Kang obliterated the 10th tier exam and set a brand new record. Just like that, he earned himself 4 days of sweet, sweet rest before the next nightmare begins. Meanwhile, the other 59 participants got a rare retrial because Kang absolutely massacred the 1st tier so badly that the system had to hit the reset button. Of course, Kang himself doesn't get a retrial. He doesn't need one. That same night, Sophia finds him chilling alone in the courtyard. She walks up and congratulates him on today's flawless victory. As always, our boy stays humble and gives all the credit to his teacher. But then Kang does something that catches her completely off guard. He asks her out on a date. There's a city festival happening right now, he says. They should go, together. Sophia just stares at him for a moment. She's probably thinking this kid doesn't even understand what a date is at his age and just wants someone to play with. Is this what people mean when they say someone's dark on the inside? They arrive at the Necropolis City Festival. Sophia asks if he's tired after the brutal trial today. He's completely fine. It's not like he actually worked hard to defeat all those monsters anyway. Besides, there are still a few days left before the next trial. No rush. And then they just keep walking, in complete silence. Kai tries again. He looks up at the sky and says the moon is beautiful, isn't it? In Japan, that phrase is basically code for I love you. Sophia has absolutely no idea. She glances at the moon, agrees that yes, it is indeed beautiful, and the conversation dies on the spot. Our boy just got friend-zoned by someone who didn't even know they were being confessed to. Kang doesn't mind the silence, though. It's always been this way with the two of them. Maybe it's because she believed in him from the very start, but he finds himself wanting to get closer to her. A few days ago, Kang finally broke through to his third circle, and that's when he finally understood what Sophia meant by facing the inner world. To surpass his limits, he had to overflow his mana capacity way beyond the second circle. Only by enduring rampaging mana, tearing through his body, could he attain his third circle. That gave him a front row seat to his inner self, whether he liked it or not. He felt Pig King stabbing him in the back, then everything shifted and he entered a snowy landscape. When one enters deep meditation, they inevitably manifest the inner world. So this frozen wasteland was his inner world. There was nothing there from the start, only absolute emptiness, and in that hollow world, Master Sophia reached out for him. Maybe that's why she's the one who brings light to his world. He felt that this was the right moment, so he expressed his feelings to her. She was totally confused, so he repeated himself, crystal clear this time. "I like you, Master Sophia." She gave him a soft smile and embraced him, saying she liked him very much as well. That made him glad for his second life. Otherwise, she would have never embraced him like this. A few days later, the Tower Trial's 11th tier begins. Kang was discouraged because he made absolutely zero progress with Sophia after that confession. She probably dismissed it as a childish crush from some 10-year-old boy. Well, love can wait. He decided to focus on the exam instead. Alia announced the format of this trial, a one-on-one magic duel. The victor proceeds to the 12th tier. Simple as that. Kang's opponent is Third Circle Master Albert. He warned Kang that he was not going to go easy on him just because he's a child. With that, the trial begins. The 11th tier trial allows the use of all kinds of artifacts and mage strategies. That means the life necklace cannot guarantee safety anymore. But with the artifact restrictions lifted, there's no need for Kang to hold back either. He's going to crush Albert completely and show everyone the difference in power between them. Albert attacks without any warning. He claims that he's completely different from those rookie students Kang faced before. Kang barely blocks it. Albert then releases dark arrows toward Kang with a smug face, thinking he already has this in the bag. Kang dodges all those arrows like it's nothing, even if it was just for an instant. Launching an attack spell before the duel even officially begins is a clear violation of the rules. However, there was no sign or signal from the judges to stop the duel. They must be curious to see how strong Kang really is, and this is exactly the reason Kang hates mages. While Kang was busy defending himself from the non-stop attacks, Albert pulled his next move. He started chanting his incantation. "Now arise, my creations. Swear eternal obedience before me. My servants born from the darkness deeper than the blood-hungry night." Kang felt nothing but second-hand embarrassment listening to that cringy incantation. All the undead rose from the ground and charged toward Kang together. He could do nothing but dodge. Albert was feeling himself now, thinking Kang couldn't win if he was only running away like a coward. After a few minutes of playing around with him, Albert used his fourth attack, Death Explosion. This made all the undead swell up and explode like grenades around Kang, creating massive clouds of dust and debris everywhere. Albert thought he won, but when all the explosions settled down, Kang was nowhere to be seen. Albert's face went pale. All his attacks were spent. He had nothing left in the tank. He looked around desperately for Kang, who was casually standing right behind him. Kang approached him with a triumphant smile and acknowledged his sneak attack. Not bad for a surprise opener. Albert was too shocked to notice what was creeping under his feet. He only looked down when the shadow sneaked up his leg, whispering that it was very, very hungry. The shadow asked for Kang's permission. He allowed it just to mess with everyone watching. After a few moments, he pulled his shadow back, leaving Albert on the ground, utterly defeated and probably traumatized for life. Round 1's winner is Kang. When it was time for round 2, none of the other mages were ready to fight him or risk losing their lives to that terrifying shadow, so everyone surrendered one after another, handing Kang the easiest wins of his life. From round 3 onwards, all matches except the final one ended in default victories. Kang just kept winning without lifting a finger. He continued refining and shaping his 3 magic circles as he blazed through each tier's guardians like they were made of paper. By the time he reached the 20th tier, a worthy opponent finally appeared, the Headless Knight, a knight created by one of the tower elders of the Noir Tower himself. An opponent unlike any before. Some spectators watching from the side whispered that even for Kang, this is the highest he can go. There's no way he beats this thing. But wouldn't it be boring if everything just went as expected? That was the only thought in Kang's mind. He released his mana, and in a single moment, the Headless Knight got down from his horse and knelt before him. Kang entered his inner world and ordered the Headless Knight to kill himself. The audience experienced utter silence as they witnessed the Headless Knight collapse right there on the spot. Such loyalty that it even abandoned its duty as a guardian just to obey Kang's command. Noticing everyone staring at him like he just grew a second head, Kang thought he had gone a little overboard. Their reaction made sense when the creation betrayed its own creator and swore loyalty to some kid instead. This was proof that he reached a level equal to the Noir Tower Elder. He didn't intend to flex this hard, but he can't exactly take it back now. Kang realized this was way beyond what he planned to show everyone, so he just turned around and headed straight for the exit. Everyone was completely baffled as he walked out, casually leaving the trial like it was nothing. He knows that there is a line even he shouldn't cross. Beyond this tier lies a realm that even monsters fear, something truly unknown, and thus Kang's trial came to an end. So too did the tower trial itself. The Magic Tower Master Jackson arrived. The entire Noir Tower rose in unison like a military parade, with Kang standing beside his father. Both nobles and elders alike showed their loyalty. Every single mage of the Noir Tower paid their respects to the father and son. Thanks to Kang's overwhelming performance that shook the entire tower, the northern territories began to unite under their banner. The Northern Empire Jackson was born. Upon the successful completion of the tower trial, Jackson assigned Kang command of the Orc Horde Extermination Squad. It was a task far too great for a 10-year-old child. Regardless, no one doubted his ability to lead as a commander. Thus, as the rightful heir of Jackson, he gradually began to unite the North under his rule. After successfully completing his task, Kang went to report to his father on the mission details. He reported that they had slain 145 orcs total. His father asked if there were any casualties. 3 sustained minor injuries, otherwise none at all. Then his father asked if he used magic to protect them during battle. No, he didn't make that mistake this time. He credited the results to their loyal swords instead. That was the end of the report. His father gave him the appreciation he deserved for a job well done. Uncle Ben also acknowledged that Kang had already grown comfortable commanding a large cavalry unit at such a young age. Kang thanked Ben in return for all his teachings over the years. Ben also pointed out that it wouldn't be long before he was leading full-scale territorial wars. A new stage is always welcome when it comes to Kang. The duel ends with Charlotte gasping for breath. Kang watches her wipe the sweat from her brow and nods with approval. She's improved quite a bit, but they both know the truth. She still can't compare to him. Kang laughs and asks if he teased her too much. Charlotte shoots him a glare. Well, you're already a third circle mage. You passed the tower's 20th tier. Ever since then, everyone's been going young Master Kang this, young Master Kang that. Don't they get tired of it? He smiles and tells her not to worry. She'll get stronger too. After all, she's only 10 years old. By any standard, Charlotte is already exceptional. That last part pisses her off. He keeps calling her a kid despite being the same age. She opens her mouth to argue, but looking at that cocky grin on his face, she gives up and moves on. There's no winning against this guy. After practice with Charlotte, Kang heads straight to Uncle Ben's office for his war strategy lessons. Today's topic is the hammer and anvil tactic. Ben gets right into it. When cavalry forces deploy on one or both flanks, the key is simple. Smash through the enemy's wings and encircle them from behind. Crush them between your infantry and your riders. The hammer meets the anvil. The enemy has nowhere to run. The infantry slams into the enemy cavalry like a wall of steel, blocking their advance completely. Kang watches this unfold and nods to himself. He's seen this before, been in enough battles to know that war follows the same patterns no matter what world you're in. Out of nowhere, Kang turns to Ben and asks how Charlotte's training is going. Ben grins, admitting she can't compare to the monster standing in front of him, but the girl is truly something special. She's already nailed down her swordsmanship foundation, no small feat. Soon enough, she'll officially inherit House Jackson's aura cultivation technique and their ancestral swordsmanship. But there's a problem. Kang already knows what it is before his uncle even opens his mouth. It's her compatibility with their sword style. See, here's how it works in this world. Mages refine mana into magic through their heart circles, building power through structured progression. Knights? They refine mana into aura using their family's cultivation techniques. Mages climb the ranks in magic towers by mastering complex theory and structure. Knights form orders by passing down their sword techniques from master to student, generation after generation. 2 completely different paths to power, and Charlotte might not fit theirs. Take the Black Cavalry of the North, for example. Those guys charge into battle like living war chariots. The Knight Crown Knight Order of House Jackson proves exactly what Northern Knights are all about, crushing entire battlefields with pure overwhelming power. No tricks, no finesse, just raw strength that flattens everything in their path. And that's Charlotte's problem. Her sword technique is the complete opposite. She fights with speed and fluid motion, wielding a quick, free-flowing blade that dances through combat. Sure, with her talent, she might scrape into the lowest ranks of the 7 sword masters someday, but she'll never become the first sword, the principal of the 7 swords, the position her father once held as the Sword of Blossom. If only that sword art still existed, but it was completely lost when the Night Nation fell. Kang stares off into the distance, wondering if it truly vanished from this world forever. No point dwelling on it now. After that, Kang's days become absolutely relentless. Between monster subjugations and his studies, he barely has time to breathe. Still, his reputation keeps growing steadily. The time has come to demonstrate the results of all his progress. Meanwhile, Baron Greenbelt, a high-ranking noble, strolls into Jackson's Great Hall to deliver news. A neighboring territory led by Baron Parker just filed for a territorial war, claiming ownership of a copper mine that clearly belongs to Jackson. Kang can't help but think one thing. A low-ranking noble picking a fight with a high-ranking Jackson is absolutely absurd. Baron Greenbelt continues his report. If Jackson refuses to yield the mine and accept the challenge, Pig King has reportedly sided with Baron Parker to back his claim. This is Pig King's plan all along. He never forgot his humiliation at Jackson's hands. Ever since that day, he must have thought about nothing but repaying the embarrassment he suffered from Jackson. But starting an open territorial war would have been too obvious, too risky. So instead, he chose to settle this in a border region, where his involvement would be ambiguous, smart, cowardly, and effective. Kang steps forward and asks his father if he'd like to command this battle together with the Knights of House Jackson. He's ready to prove himself, but Jackson shuts him down immediately. He refuses, saying it's far too early for Kang to shoulder this burden. Jackson warns him against speaking recklessly. A war against people is entirely different from slaying monsters. The beasts don't scheme, they don't betray, they don't surrender, and then stab you in the back. Humans do. Kang freezes. His father has never spoken to him like this before, so cold, so dismissive. Jackson turns back to the noble and assures him he'll handle this issue personally. The noble thanks him for his generosity and leaves. Kang storms out right after. Later, he vents his frustration about his father's words to Uncle Ben. Ben just shakes his head, telling him not to take it so seriously. Jackson must have had his reasons for shutting him down like that. To cheer the kid up, Ben pulls out a strategy game that looks suspiciously similar to chess. In this world, they call it a war game. Ben explains that it mirrors real warfare pretty closely, so the rules are complicated as hell, but once you master it, it'll make you a tactical genius on the battlefield. He suggests they play together so Kang can learn some tactics. Kang grabs the game and immediately runs away. He bursts into his father's office and slams the board down on the desk. He proposes a deal right then and there. If he plays and wins against his father, he gets permission to join the territorial war. No arguments, no second guessing. His father stares at him, unimpressed. Why are you not changing your decision, even after what I said? Kang meets his eyes without flinching. I learned that war is not merely a clash of strength, but a profound contest of minds. So please evaluate me through one match. Uncle Ben rushes in moments later, apologizing profusely for Kang's boldness and trying to drag him out of there, but Jackson raises his hand and accepts the deal. Kang thanks him for believing in him, even just this once. Of course, if he loses the game, he has to abandon any idea of participating in the battle. Kang agrees without hesitation. Then the unthinkable happens. Kang wins the game. Uncle Ben nearly chokes on his own spit. Despite Jackson generously giving young Master Kang the advantage of superior troop numbers and favorable terrain, the kid wins 2 out of 3 matches against Jackson himself. The man who's fought in countless real wars, who's commanded entire armies beaten by his own son. His father leans back in his chair, studying him carefully. When did you learn this game? Kang shrugs, keeping his expression neutral. I found a rule book in the library a few years ago and started learning it. Of course, that's a complete lie. His father grants him full command of the knights for the coming battle, but he makes one thing crystal clear. No matter how high his expectations are, the honor of House Jackson is at stake. Defeat will not be accepted. Failure is not an option. Jackson leans forward. So I'm asking you one more time. Can you truly shoulder this fight entirely on your own? The weight of an entire family's legacy rests on Kang's answer. Kang doesn't hesitate. He assures his father he can be fully trusted. His father stares at him for a long moment, then nods. Sometime later, at the Malberg's castle, Pig King is absolutely losing it. He's shouting at his son for spending the entire day drinking and fooling around like a useless drunk. What makes it worse, he just got word that Kang is leading the knights himself, a 10-year-old kid commanding an entire army. He tells his father not to worry about some 10-year-old brat. This is Pig King's eldest son, Philip, and every single word coming out of his mouth only makes his father more furious. Philip slurs out a request, asking his father to let him crush the arrogant brat of House Jackson with their knights. Pig King slams his hand on the desk so hard it shakes. He roars back at his son, calling him delusional if he thinks he could ever catch up to that monster even in 100 years. Philip stumbles backward and falls to the ground. His father towers over him, glaring down with pure contempt. He calls his son a pathetic insect, inferior even to a 10-year-old child. He regrets not having secured Charlotte yet. That would have solved everything. He looks back at his worthless son and makes a decision. For this battle, he'll entrust Philip with the command of their knights. Philip's eyes light up immediately. Philip stammers, asking what he means. Pig King explains coldly. The actual command will be handled by Sir Alexander. Philip's job is to be the army's figurehead. That will suffice. Before Philip can protest, Pig King orders Sir Alexander to drag him out of the room. Pig King wanted to take the field himself, crush House Jackson personally, but he can't go all out against a child without looking like a monster. Worse, he suspects this entire situation is part of some larger plan by Jackson. He can't afford to fall into a trap. A few days later, Kang arrives at Baron Greenbelt's territory. The reception is skeptical, to say the least. They were expecting Jackson himself, not some kid barely old enough to hold a sword. The knights immediately start whispering among themselves, saying all kinds of mean things about Kang being just a child playing soldier. Baron Greenbelt, the noble who requested their aid, tries to thank him politely, but even he has his doubts. He welcomes Kang's team to a banquet they've arranged in their honor, but Kang cuts him off immediately. There's not much time. He draws his sword and points it directly at Greenbelt. Everyone in the room tenses up, hands moving to their weapons. Kang wants to inspect the condition of the troops under Greenbelt's command first. Among the soldiers he leads, Kang asks who is the strongest among them. The room goes dead silent. Harry, a man with red hair, steps forward, declaring himself the strongest fighter present. He boasts that no man capable of defeating him has been born yet in this territory. But on the inside, he's absolutely irritated by this small kid pointing a sword at people's throats like he owns the place. Harry decides right then and there to put this brat in his place. Kang pulls his sword back and addresses the room. He points out that everyone here seems to be doubting his ability. They doubt him because he's a mere 10-year-old who was put in charge of an important battle without any prior discussions, right? He stabs his sword into the ground with enough force to shatter the tiles beneath it. Kang admits he's also doubting the competence of their knights. The fastest way to clear their mutual doubts is with the sword, wouldn't they say? But here's the amusing part. Their so-called strongest knight of the order, the one they so proudly boast about, is currently drunk off his ass. The man is proving his doubts all by himself. He asks if drinking also gave him courage. Harry pulls out his sword and accepts Kang's challenge immediately. Before starting the duel, Kang asks the man if he's heard about his sword. Harry says yes, slightly pissed by this kid's overconfidence. With that, they begin. Harry attacks first, coming in aggressive. Kang blocks the strike with both hands, one controlling his artifact and the other wielding the sword. It doesn't go unnoticed that his sword isn't even infused with mana. Harry tells himself that only a few elite knights can even use aura blades, so he dismisses it and decides to go easy on the kid. No need to embarrass him too badly. But then he keeps getting attacked from everywhere. Kang's artifact keeps distracting him, preventing him from landing a proper blow. Every time he thinks he has an opening, something else comes at him from a different angle. Kang is just getting started when he hears a yelp. Harry is on the ground, clutching his shoulder. It's broken. He wasn't even struck. Even Kang looks surprised. He didn't even do anything for Harry to be hurt this badly. The green belt goes pale and starts yelling at Kang for taking down his elite knight, even before the battle has begun. How is he supposed to fight now with his strongest warrior crippled? Kaig is equally frustrated to see someone this incompetent calling themselves elite. He turns to Greenbelt and asks if he even understands the situation they're in. With that pathetic skill level, the Greenbelt forces would only drag House Jackson down in the upcoming battle. Was Greenbelt planning to just sit back and watch while House Jackson does all the work? Greenbelt is stunned by Kang's harsh tone. Kang presses on. He asks if that man is truly the knight Greenbelt boasted about as his strongest. House Jackson never hesitates to serve as the shield of those they protect. But that doesn't excuse anyone from neglecting their duty. Therefore, until the battle arrives, Jackson's knights will serve as their sword. Now choose. Will they follow him, or will they lose the land beneath their feet? With that, everyone kneels in front of Kang and swears their loyalty. The matter is settled. Back at the Noir Castle, Elena is worried sick for her son. Jackson does his best to console her, assuring her there's nothing to worry about. That child possesses more than they could ever imagine. When Kang grows older, the things he'll witness are beyond even what Jackson himself can fathom. One day, their child will become the ruler of this world. On the other side, Kang is absolutely annoyed that every single one of these knights is utterly incompetent. He feels like he's been living as a frog in a well, and only now realizes how pathetic the world outside that well really is. Of course, the Holy Swordsman chose to intervene in this territory. He must have known the truth about Greenbelt beforehand. The next day, all the knights of Greenbelt, especially Harry, undergo strict training. Harry keeps winning the practice bouts without even trying his best, and keeps getting praise from the Knights of Jackson, which only pisses Kang off more. Kang orders Sir Bale to teach this bunch of incompetents everything, starting with basic stamina training. He also orders him to send someone to Baron Parker's territory. They're proposing a negotiation. Sir Bale is confused by the term negotiation coming out of Kang's mouth, but Kang has absolutely no intention of accepting humiliating peace terms. He simply wants to see someone before the battle begins. The negotiation site is located at the border between the two baronies. They have a few weeks before the battle officially starts, since the Knight Order of St. Magma is embarking on a long-distance march across the continent, and given how poor their supply situation is, they're highly likely to launch a preemptive strike. Kang is counting on it. Baron Parker's knightly forces are a real threat. They're not something you can just brush off. That's when the person Kang wanted to see finally shows up. Sir Bale announces that Lord Philip has arrived. Just as Kang expected, two men enter the tent. Commander Philip, the hollow figurehead, and the real brains behind the operation, Sir Alexander. Kang welcomes them with a smile. Philip doesn't bother with pleasantries. He cuts straight to the point and demands to know why Kang suddenly wants to negotiate after all this time. He insists that Kang must have gotten scared before the real war even started. Kang just smiles at that. Why did he even agree to this negotiation in the first place? Philip opens his mouth to answer, but Kang stops him cold. He casually mentions that he wasn't actually talking to Philip. The puppet shoved into the role of battlefield commander doesn't interest him. No, he's asking the real commander standing behind him, Sir Alexander, the pure sword. Philip's face turns red with rage. Kang simply tilts his head and asks if he's wrong. Why else would a holy swordsman hand over command of an entire battlefield to someone without even the slightest shred of talent? From behind, Alexander immediately understands what Kang is trying to do. He quickly tells his lord not to take the insult seriously. The fact that Pig King considers Philip a complete disgrace is a secret known only to a handful of people. So how in the world does this random enemy commander know about it? That's what surprises him. Kang keeps twisting the knife. He leans forward and asks how it feels knowing that your own esteemed father doesn't trust you even a little bit. Sir Alexander immediately tries to shut this down. He dismisses the negotiation and attempts to escort Philip out of there. But Kang isn't done. Do you even need permission to speak? You're lowering your head to take orders from someone beneath you. That makes you look like a slave. Is that really the appearance befitting the firstborn of Pig King's house? It's like watching a dog put a leash on its master. Philip is going exactly where Kang wants him. Alexander tries his best to pull his lord back from the edge, but Kang just notches it up another level. At this rate, I really can't tell whether you're the holy swordsman's puppet or Sir Alexander's puppet. He never intended to actually negotiate, not even for a second. Kang casually asks Sir Bale to step outside for a minute. It's another tactic to isolate Philip. After all, it would look pretty embarrassing when a 10-year-old is commanding his troops alone while Philip needs his babysitter holding his hand. Philip takes the bait. He orders Sir Alexander to leave immediately. The knight reluctantly exits the tent, and Kang's smile widens. He clears his throat and begins his proposal. As I said earlier, I requested this meeting strictly for negotiations. Philip crosses his arms and asks if Kang has anything that could actually persuade him. Kang nods. That's right. If the Knight Order of St. Magma withdraws from this battle immediately, House Jackson will provide all supplies required for your army's return journey. Philip shoots to his feet the moment he hears this. His face is red with fury as he shouts that this is an insult, not a negotiation. Kang just shrugs and says yes. He even apologizes for his earlier comments. However, he leans back in his chair. Please withdraw your forces, otherwise your army will be annihilated and hundreds of knights will be taken prisoner. The holy swordsman's reputation will crumble and your name will be dragged through the mud forever. This is your final chance to maintain even a shred of dignity. Philip doesn't accept it. He bursts out laughing and says that Sir Alexander was right about Kang wanting to mock them from the very beginning. Kang gives him a cruel smile. This was his last chance. When the battle is lost, the one who will bear all the blame won't be Sir Alexander the commander. No, it'll be the incompetent, utterly useless firstborn of Pig King. Philip isn't having it. He shakes his head and tells Kang this is absurd. Soon he'll prove himself before everyone. Kai keeps that same cold smile and tells him to hold on to that confidence as long as he can. And just like that, the negotiations collapse. Shortly after, at the Greenbelt's camp, Sir Alexander stands at the edge of the war tent, staring out toward Jackson's territory. Sir Alexander can't shake the memory of Kang's eyes from their last meeting. He's certain those weren't the eyes of some beginner playing at war. This kid knows something. He won't underestimate him. But still, at the end of the day, Kang is just a 10-year-old child. Alexander turns to his troops and uses that exact fact to fire them up. He shouts for them to silence that loudmouth brat and stop his growth right here, right now. On the opposing side, Harry approaches Kang with a report. The enemy forces have begun moving. Kang turns toward his army and bellows at the top of his lungs. Swords of House Jackson, your time has come. Today, show them blood worthy of that name. The battle has begun. Sir Alexander leads his 1st Cavalry Battalion personally. The key to this entire battle is stopping the Nightcrow Knight Order of House Jackson. But Pig King's troops can't clearly gauge the Nightcrow's true firepower. They've never faced them directly before. Therefore, to prevent any unforeseen disasters, Lord Philip must be placed not at the front where he wants to be, but safely in the center of the formation. Next, Baron Parker's forces need to be stationed on the left wing to tie down the Greenbelt Knight Order. During that time, Alexander plans to lead Pig King's elite troops himself to strike the Nightcrow Knight Order from the flank. With the center and left wing containing the enemy assault, it's a straightforward strategy. Both sides clash at their strongest points with clear battle plans. All that's left to see is who's more clever. Kang enters the front lines himself, riding out ahead of his troops. His soldiers' confidence surges just seeing their young lord charging forward. Alexander spots him immediately and smirks. So they intend to settle this with a direct clash between the main forces from the very start. To think he's willingly making himself the bait. As expected, you're no ordinary child. But this is exactly what Alexander wanted. He leads his elite cavalry forward at full force, charging ahead with the intention of ending this battle swiftly by crushing Kang directly. He roars encouragement to his knights, live up to their expectations and defeat the enemy with honor. The two forces collide with thunderous impact. Steel clashes against steel and chaos erupts across the battlefield. But as the fighting continues, Alexander slowly starts to notice something strange. The Nightcrow Knight Order is falling apart effortlessly. Their formations are crumbling under the assault. This is supposed to be the same legendary cavalry infamous as the destroyers of battlefields. To confirm his suspicions, a soldier comes galloping up to him. Baron Parker's forces are being overrun on the left wing. They can't handle the assault at all. Alexander's eyes widened. This is the complete opposite of everything they understood about the Night Crow Night Order's battle strategy. On the other end of the battlefield, Philip stares at the chaos unfolding before him. He can't understand why those Greenbelt fools are using aura in the first place. A soldier rushes up to him. The left wing under Baron Parker is requesting immediate reinforcements. House Jackson's knights have broken through Baron Parker's lines completely. They're demanding orders from Philip right now, but Philip, being the absolute fool he is, gets carried away with Kang's earlier insults instead of actually strengthening his forces with proper strategy. He just makes everything worse. Another soldier approaches him, this time with a message from Sir Alexander. Alexander recommends merging the center and rear cavalry with the left wing to reinforce the crumbling defense. Philip has fallen completely into Kang's trap. He disregards Alexander's recommendation without a second thought. He barks orders to redirect all rear cavalry to him personally. They're going to strike the right wing instead. Before the left wing collapses entirely, he'll kill Kang himself and end this battle in one decisive blow. The soldier races back to inform Alexander of this absolute stupidity. Alexander receives the news. He can't do anything now. The right wing is already pushing back the enemy's weakened left flank, but that fool Philip is blinded by the single thought of striking down the enemy commander. At this rate, the left wing will completely collapse and they'll be surrounded from both sides. The soldier beside Alexander suggests they retreat while they still can. Alexander refuses. He's not going to accept defeat so easily. Not like this. Kang's confident eyes from their meeting keep flashing through his mind. Alexander becomes something more lethal. He decides to crush Kang's arrogance himself. With his own hands, he turns to his 1st Cavalry Battalion and gives the order to charge into the heart of the battlefield. There's only one path left now. His soldiers await his command with weapons drawn. Alexander presses his sword to his forehead and begins to pray. In the name of Saint Magma, may the pure sword be blessed. May the protection of Goddess Sistina be upon us. May the sister goddesses grant us grace and mercy. He raises his blade high and bellows to his knights. From this moment forward, we break through the enemy lines and take the enemy commander's head. Raise your swords and follow me. They charge forward at full speed, leaving their victory to the fates. They don't know it yet, but they're walking straight into Kang's trap. On the front lines of any battle, a commander's field of vision always narrows dangerously fast. The weight of war and the crushing anxiety cloud even the sharpest judgment. That weight is something even Sir Alexander, the pure sword himself, cannot escape. And no one would have ever thought that someone on this medieval battlefield would have learned even the basics of magic. But Kang is the exception to that rule for one very specific reason. He aims his ice bullet arrow straight toward the shocked enemy line charging at him. The spell launches forward and hits a knight's horse directly behind the commander. Alexander watches in disbelief. The accuracy is terrifying, especially while riding at full speed like that. The spell itself is impressive enough, but without serious combat skill and expert archery training, you wouldn't even be able to begin to imitate that level of precision. Kang raises his hand and conjures a massive wall of ice between himself and the enemy cavalry. It blocks their entire path in an instant. On the other side of the frozen barrier, Kang wheels his horse around and leads his troops forward for the counterattack. His knights charge with the fierce determination to shield their young lord with their own lives if necessary. Alexander finally realizes his catastrophic mistake. The Night Crow Night Order's goal was never to bring him down in combat. It was to protect their commander and buy time. And on top of that disaster, Philip made the absolute worst possible move. Because of that idiot, the center forces are now overcrowded on the right flank. Their entire front line is grotesquely twisted out of shape and falling apart. At this point, Alexander knows there's only one option left. He has to face Kang directly. He charges ahead through the chaos, not to fight him, but to beg for mercy and salvage what's left of this disaster. From his previous life's knowledge, Kang already knew this about Alexander. His habit of overestimating the power of Aura Knights has never changed. The jailer who watched over Kang in his previous life was none other than the Holy Swordsman, who led that very Night Order. A soldier rides up to Kang and delivers his report. The knights under Baron Greenbelt have broken through the enemy's left flank completely. The commander of the left wing, Baron Parker, has also been captured alive. Alexander, who's close enough to hear this devastating report, trembles with rage. Most of this catastrophe is the direct result of Philip's stupid decisions. Kang states the obvious fact with a cold smile. After all, Philip didn't trust his own commander all that much, did he? Everything suddenly clicks into place for Alexander. Kang had been setting traps for them from the very beginning. To that realization, Kang replies calmly. The battlefield is always chaotic, and no one can truly foresee what's to come. In repeated chaos like this, those who end up courting their own ruin have only their own foolishness to blame. He gestures to the defeated enemy soldiers. In accordance with the great traditions of the Empire, I intend to show mercy to those who beg for their lives. For the price of a few gold coins, of course. Will you also beg for your lives? The enemy soldiers refuse to do any such thing. They end up dead. Moments later, Kang stares down at him and asks what Alexander will do now. Alexander bows his head low. His knights behind him erupt in rage at the sight of their commander humbling himself before a child. But Alexander doesn't do this because he's afraid of death. He does it because he has to pass on a critical message to his knights. This boy is truly dangerous. Alexander commands his knights to get down on their knees immediately. In accordance with the Empire's traditions, we surrender and demand proper treatment as prisoners of war. They've already bowed on their knees and begged for mercy. Kang is satisfied with that. He thinks no further provocation is needed at this point. He never intended to let them go anyway. Kang orders his knights to kill them all. There's a boyish smile on his face as he says it. Even the hardened warriors of the Nightcrow Knight Order gasp at those words. Even so, Kang's voice remains completely unyielding. For the Knights of Jackson, his orders are absolute, more important than anything else. And on this blood-soaked field, one man ultimately brought about his own ruin. Alexander's composure finally shatters. His rage bursts out like a broken dam. He swings his sword upward, refusing to end his life like this in such a pathetic state. But before he can even reach Kang, his own soldiers stab him from behind. Multiple blades pierce through his back. He collapses to the ground, gasping for air. Kang slowly walks over and lifts Sir Alexander's head into his hands. He leans down close and whispers directly into his ear. "Sir Alexander, do you remember my death?" Alexander doesn't understand what Kang means by those words, but Kang remembers seeing his face that night with perfect clarity. "You were also present when your lord drove his sword into my back." Kang shifts back slightly and looks directly into Alexander's dying eyes. "I ask you again, young knight, do you remember my death?" The realization crashes into Alexander all at once. "That's impossible. Did you really claw your way back to life, you damned monster?" Kang releases the shadows coiling around his fingertips. They begin to spread across the battlefield like living darkness. "Yes. Only now do I feel even a little bit relieved." By the time Philip comes to his senses, it's already over. They're defeated. The right-wing cavalry has been crushed into dust. Sir Alexander and all the Aura Knights are dead, killed in action. The left wing was breached long ago, and now the Black Cavalry is surrounding his main unit from all sides. Philip realizes the full scope of the disaster. Kang's mocking smile from their negotiation won't leave his head. It haunts him. His emotions spiral completely out of control as he commands his soldiers to fight to the very last breath. His soldiers immediately protest. They know this order leads to only one end: total annihilation. Philip's voice thunders across the broken ranks as he roars at them. "Do you dare defy the will of your supreme commander?" He orders them to charge one final time. But the command means nothing in the end. An enemy soldier steps forward with a spear. In Philip's final moments, his thoughts aren't of his people or his fallen kingdom. They're not even of honor or duty, just regret. Everything goes exactly according to Kang's plan. Philip is now kneeling before him in the dirt, spouting pathetic nonsense about being broken but not defeated. Kang looks down at him with pure disgust. "For someone who ran away just to save his own skin, you say quite plausible-sounding things." Philip shamelessly replies that he had a duty to survive until the end as the commander of this battle. Kang uses his own words against him. He pulls out his sword with a cold smile. The battle is already over. There's no need for Philip to keep living anymore. With no path left to escape, he desperately accepts the one-on-one duel Kang had proposed earlier. Kang's commanders have zero patience for Philip's foolish words, but Kang allows it to pass without comment. There's no formal beginning to the duel. Philip suddenly charges forward in a wild, desperate attack. Kang expected nothing less from someone so utterly worthless. With a casual motion, he releases a small shadow strike from his open palm. Philip collapses instantly. He rolls across the ground, screaming in agony and begging for mercy like a child. The sight is so humiliating that even the battle-hardened onlookers can't bear to watch. And just like that, the noisy war ends with a ridiculous scream. Kang is welcomed back with great fanfare. Everywhere he goes, voices rise in celebration, recounting his glorious deeds on the battlefield. Everyone praises the young hero. Everyone, that is, except one man. To him, this victory is not something worth celebrating at all. Rivers of blood flowed on that day, did they not? Was such merciless slaughter truly what God desired? That child's blade is pointed at enemies today. But will the day not come when it turns upon allies without hesitation? These are the grim words spoken by Nicholas of the goddess Sistine faith. As Kang enters the palace halls, his younger sister Lisa runs straight toward him. Her face is glowing with pure joy. She welcomes him warmly, and he embraces her gently. Uncle Ben steps forward and offers his congratulations. Hand in hand, the siblings walk together toward their waiting parents. Kang kneels on one knee before Jackson and speaks with perfect formality. "Kang of Jackson hereby reports the victory to your excellency Jackson." His father nods with clear approval. "You led this victory magnificently." Jackson then thanks Sir Bale, the commander, for guiding Kang through the entire campaign. Kang's mother steps forward next. "You must be exhausted after returning so soon after such a brutal battle. Go and get some proper rest first." Kang bows his head in gratitude and thanks her quietly. At that very same moment, two battered soldiers are dragged before Pig King. One has a shattered arm hanging uselessly at his side. The other drags a broken leg behind him. Pig King stares down at them with cold fury and demands to know Philip's whereabouts immediately. One of them manages to report the devastating news. Sir Alexander and all the Aura Knights, including the entire Knight Order of St. Magma, were killed in action. The Jackson family captured young Master Philip and several squires as prisoners of war. They're demanding an enormous ransom for their return. Pig King steps forward. I see. So you suffered a crushing defeat and then fled the battlefield shamelessly to save your own pathetic lives. Are you prepared to face the consequences of desertion? The soldiers collapse to their knees immediately. They have no excuses and can only beg desperately for mercy. Pig King shows absolutely none. Take them to the basement. I will make them beg me to kill them instead. The battle of that day, later known as the Black and White War. From that day forward, the image of Kang standing cold and unmoved before enemies crying for their lives spreads far and wide across the empire. He comes to be known as the Black Young Master. And just like that, Kang turns 11 years old. On his 11th birthday, his father presents him with an incredible gift. At the upcoming official ceremony, Kang will be appointed Viscount of Jackson. It's a title that grants him the full authority to act as the Lord's proxy in all matters. With this single act, his father fulfills his promise to recognize Kang as an equal head of the family. Kang thanks him sincerely for the honor, but then he makes one more request. It may be sudden, but there is a duty I wish to carry out as your excellency's proxy. His father raises an eyebrow and asks what it is. Kang takes a breath. People say that in that battle, the Black Young Master showed a cruelty that spared no prisoners whatsoever. Knights armed with the faith of the goddess fell by my hand without mercy. The church will not look kindly upon this. Therefore, I wish to go on a pilgrimage to the Sistina Papal territory. There I will face the weight of the infamy I have spread firsthand. His father remains silent for a long while. I don't understand your reasoning. Fear is a tremendous asset on the battlefield, something you can't trade for anything else in this world, and yet you intend to deny your own infamy and cultivate favor with the church instead? Kang meets his father's eyes directly. They're a faction worth conceding that much too. His father studies him carefully and asks whether he has another plan hidden in mind. Yes, I do. I'm going to make them an offer they can't refuse. However, something else lingers at the back of his mind. He also plans to get his hands on the forbidden grimoires hidden there. This decision stems from something that happened just a few days earlier. Kang has a nightmare. A skeleton with glowing blue eyes seizes him and shakes him violently. Do you remember my death? Half asleep and utterly shocked, Kang mutters something incoherent. We remember our death. The skeleton vanishes in an instant. In the next moment, his chest bursts open as if someone stabbed him from behind with a blade. He wakes up with a gasp, clutching his heart and drenched in cold sweat. That nightmare was the abyss of the mind, the darkest scene he witnessed within the mind world when he forcibly tore it open to form his third circle. The practice of controlling one's inner world and refining it is both the beginning and the end of every mage's journey. To fully control his mind, he needs far greater power than what he currently possesses. And so, his journey begins. Early on, he reaches the border between Baron Greenbelt's territory. This marks the end of the Empire's northern region. Beyond this point lies the Central Lands. A few rough-looking men approach Kang and Sir Bale on the road. Or rather, their arrows reach them first, before the men do. Bale immediately asks what the hell this is all about. One of the bandits steps forward with a smirk. It's common sense to pay a toll upon entering a noble's territory, boy. Kang says he anticipated this exact scenario. He tosses a heavy bag of gold coins onto the ground without hesitation and continues walking forward. But these are bandits. Nothing is ever enough for them. After traveling just a few more miles down the road, an even larger group appears ahead. They block the path completely and claim that Kang and Bale cannot pass without paying a toll first. Bale points out that they already paid one of their subordinates earlier. He adds that collecting tolls more than once is illegal under imperial law. The subordinate who took the bag of gold steps forward with a proud grin. Paid it? We've just met for the first time, haven't we? If you value your miserable lives, quietly hand over everything you have right now. The subordinate chimes in again like an idiot. Yeah, that's right. This man here survived to the very end of that famous Black and White War. He's the hero who turned the tide single-handedly. Baron Parker himself. Kang bursts out laughing so loudly that every single man standing atop the hill flinches back. He slowly pulls back his hood and stares directly at them. A hero who turned the tides, you say? That's quite different from what I remember happening. They all recognize his face instantly. Their eyes widen in terror. But instead of fleeing for their lives like they should, their commander orders them not to panic. After all, there are only two opponents standing before them. They themselves are armed with numerous archers and dozens of men. They actually believe they can win this. Bale glances at Kang and asks for the order. Yes. Kang's voice is cold and final. He has zero intention of playing with these pathetic puppets any longer. Bale moves instantly. He halts the incoming arrows mid-flight with a wave of his hand and launches himself forward. He swiftly cuts through the lowlifes like they're made of paper. When he reaches the commander at the back, the man immediately falls to his knees. He begs desperately for mercy. He offers to return the gold taken earlier and even swears eternal loyalty. Kang looks down at him with empty eyes. Why would I do that? Kang passes countless robber nobles and bandit knights just like them as he travels across the central continent. Several long weeks later, they finally arrive at their destination. Bale gestures ahead with reverence. This is the papal state of Sistina, Puzzle, the city of the Holy See. Kang gazes upon the massive white city walls. He finds the title City of the Holy See utterly absurd and laughable. He claimed to have come on a pilgrimage to seek forgiveness, yet the word judgment suits his true intentions far better. Kang and his commander Bale enter the Grand Castle to meet Nicholas, a sixth circle white mage, and one of top 12 who stand at the absolute pinnacle of the goddess church's hierarchy. Both of them kneel respectfully before the powerful mage and offer formal greetings. The mage smiles warmly down at Kang and speaks with a gentle voice. I heard that an immense amount of blood was spilled in that battle. Young master, the sacrifice of Saint Magma's faithful brothers was truly regrettable. Kang replies with perfect calm. I too find the outcome of the Black and White War deeply unfortunate. Due to my own insufficient judgment, I caused unnecessary sacrifices on both sides. I came to the papal state in person, concealing my power and status to go on a humble pilgrimage. I sincerely hope my resolve will not scatter in vain. Bale's expression makes it absolutely clear what he's thinking. This kid is laying it way too thick. The mage studies Kang in complete silence for a long moment. Kang Jackson, son of the Lord of the Noir Tower and the Empire's greatest magical genius. Did the horrors of that battlefield twist his young mind into guilt and regret? Even with such radiant talent burning inside him, he's still nothing more than an 11-year-old brat. With a calculating smile hidden behind kind eyes, the mage thinks to himself, in that case, this works out perfectly for me. The goddess's mercy is offered equally to all her children, young master. There are no sins in this world that cannot be washed away through faith. That single sentence is all Kang needed to hear. He looks up slowly. You say there are no sins that cannot be washed away? The mage replies indulgently, yes, of course. That's the foundation of our faith. Kang tilts his head slightly. Then did you sell the goddess's sacred nation to the Empire? Nicholas freezes completely. That joke goes much too far, young master. Kang is not joking at all. Kang speaks evenly. Back then, I heard that 12 bishop-ranked cardinals attempted to persuade the former pope to accept peaceful annexation. You were present as well during those discussions, Nicholas. The former pope rejected the Empire's treaty proposal until the very end, and as a direct result, the pope was eliminated by the Empire's hounds. Kang's gaze sharpens like a knife. The sins of your eminence, who sold out his own sacred country for power and survival. Did the goddess forgive those sins as well? There's no longer any reason for Nicholas to maintain his composed, graceful facade. You speak of atonement with such a pious face, yet dare to utter forbidden truths with that same filthy mouth. Kang stands up sharply and raises his voice right back at him. Do you honestly think killing a mere representative of Jackson will silence this truth? His Grace did not send me here to dig up the church's buried shame for fun. What we seek is simply the price of a small silence, nothing more. After a long, tense silence, Nicholas finally speaks through gritted teeth. What do you want from us? Kang doesn't hesitate for even a second. Beneath the Apostolic Palace, at its absolute lowest level, lies a secret archive that imprisons the church's most forbidden books. Grant me permission to access the Library of Hell. Kang already knows the truth. On its deepest floor rests the single most terrifying grimoire in the entire world, the Book of the Black Goat. Permission is granted, but it comes with extremely strict conditions attached. Kang alone will be allowed to enter the Library of Hell. No matter what occurs within those cursed halls, the church will not interfere or intervene. He's permitted to take only a single grimoire with him when he leaves, nothing more. In return, he's required to swear eternal silence regarding the church's darkest secrets. He raises his hand and declares firmly, I swear it in the sacred name of Jackson. Kang and Nicholas form an unbreakable pact using the White Tower's famed contract magic. From this moment forward, there's absolutely no doubt about the consequences. Should Kang violate the contract in any way, the highs will instantly crush his heart from the inside. Not that it matters much. It wasn't such a great secret to begin with anyway. Kang soon arrives at the entrance of the legendary library. Etched directly upon the massive doors of hell are ancient words. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. As he finishes reading them aloud, the heavy doors slowly creak open before him. There's a very specific reason this cursed place is called Hell itself. The forbidden books sealed within these walls are uncontrollable magical artifacts. Just as a famed knight wields a legendary sword with pride, a grimoire holds that exact same meaning to any true mage. After walking deeper into the shadowy library, Kang encounters its guardians standing in his path. He scoffs inwardly at the sight. For people who constantly preach about divine light and purity, using animated corpses as guards is no different from the dark practices of the Noir Tower. At first, Kang restrains himself while cutting through the shambling undead. Then he suddenly realizes something important. No one is watching him down here. He unleashes it fully without holding back. A single massive shadow bullet obliterates all the remaining guardians in one devastating strike. Once the useless sentinels are finally gone, he continues moving forward through the darkness. He draws a sharp dagger from his belt and slashes his own arm without hesitation. He lets his blood spill freely onto the cold stone floor. He raises his voice, "I am Kang Jackson, the rightful heir of the ancient lineage that inherits the blood of the immortal Frederick. I proclaim this here and now, O black goat of the forest, who commands 1,000 cursed offspring across the realms. Fulfill the sacred contract you made with the Dark Clan, and reveal yourself before me." Immediately, countless voices begin echoing throughout the infinite abyss surrounding him. Blood. Blood. Blood filled with such tremendous power. Child, come closer to me. I'll give you unimaginable power beyond your dreams. Move aside, that one's mine. That child is my contractor, not yours. The overwhelming scent of endless slaughter, pools of crimson blood stretching forever, scattered corpses piled as far as the eye can see. Just then a figure appears directly behind him without warning. "I will make a contract with you, mortal child. I swear to slaughter all of your enemies without mercy. I will hold a grand festival of corpses and blood for all those who dare stand in your way." Kang thinks to himself while observing the nightmarish landscape around him. Judging by this horrific scenery, this must be the mind space of the grimoire itself. The Book of Massacre. It's a cursed book filled with the forbidden secrets of atrocious blood magic, magic that embodies mass slaughter itself in its purest form. Even so, Kang waves his hand dismissively and orders the figure to step back. This is not the book he's looking for. The man is immediately enraged by the casual dismissal. He refuses to accept rejection like this. He swings his massive weapon directly at Kang. Kang remains as calm as ever, completely unfazed. "That's not impossible for you to try, but there's a fundamental problem here. This is merely a world inside a book. Your world cannot actually intrude upon mine in reality. My world is different. One world simply devours another." Yet that arrogant belief does absolutely nothing to stop his world from collapsing into pure nothingness. In a single instant, Kang devours the man's entire world completely. The man stands frozen in absolute disbelief. His mouth hangs open in shock. How could a 6th circle high mage level world be pushed back so easily like this? He screams in rising panic. "How am I being devoured by the pathetic world of a mere child?" Kang replies, "The number of people your master killed doesn't even come close to comparing with my past life. I honestly can't remember a single city I destroyed because I leveled far too many to count." Still desperately in denial, the man tries to reclaim his crumbling world by defeating Kang in direct combat. He swings his blood-soaked sword again with all his strength. He's completely unaware that his body is already falling apart piece by piece, limb by limb. Moments later, he vanishes completely into nothingness. This allows Kang to finally break through the barrier and return to the real world. Back in the physical library, a young girl about Kang's exact age suddenly appears behind him without warning. She has delicate ram's horns growing from her head. She calls out to him, "Big brother, did you call for me just now? Nice to meet you. I was so incredibly lonely all this time down here. You'll play with me, right?" Kang doesn't respond immediately, but he knows exactly who she really is. The Book of the Black Goat. A forbidden grimoire written by the immortal Duke Frederick himself during his desperate pursuit of truths beyond death itself. One that required the horrific sacrifice of his own young daughter as a blood offering to complete. Because of this terrible origin, the grimoire's avatar takes the permanent form of a young girl. Kang goes straight to the point. He asks her directly to form a contract with him. She tilts her head curiously like a child and asks him sweetly to show her his world first. Kang reveals it without hesitation. His inner world unfolds before her eyes. She stares in pure awe, clearly impressed by what she sees. Turning back to face Kang directly, "I really like you, big brother." Then she suddenly pauses mid-smile. She points behind him with a small finger toward the library entrance. "Who are they?" Kang glances back. Nicholas stands there with several armed men flanking him. Nicholas looks genuinely startled to be noticed. He clearly assumed the cursed library would deal with this arrogant young brat on its own. Seeing that Kang has already secured the legendary grimoire so quickly leaves him visibly shaken. Kang turns toward him casually. "What are you doing here, your eminence?" Nicholas has absolutely no justification ready. Kang calmly reminds the cardinal of one little detail. According to the contract, whatever happens in hell is nobody's responsibility. He smiles faintly at the cardinal's nervous face. The cardinal still tries to play innocent, claiming he's just concerned about Kang's well-being. Yeah, nobody's buying that. Behind Kang, the young girl suddenly clasps her hands together with pure excitement in her eyes. "Can I eat them?" Kang glances back at her and gives a casual nod like he's just giving permission for a snack. "You can, but be careful. You might upset your stomach." He says it so casually, like he's warning her not to eat too much before dinner. That's the moment the cardinal finally drops his act. He starts praying at the top of his lungs, throwing out every holy phrase he can remember. "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, have mercy on us, Alishan. Grant us mercy, misery, noise, God wills it. May the sister goddess's compassion be with us. The Lord's light covers you. Praise him. Alleluia." The knights standing beside Nicholas suddenly sprout glowing white wings from their backs. They get lifted into the air by divine power, ready to throw down their lives for this fight. At Nicholas's command to destroy the servant of Satan, they all attack Kang at once. Our boy just stands there with that same calm expression, completely unbothered by the incoming holy assault. Kang dodges their attacks like it's nothing, and fires off shadow bullets to take them all down in one clean sweep. But these guys are tougher than he expected. They dodge every single shot with practiced precision. Nicholas beams with pride, looking at his angels like a proud father. He starts gloating about how they're his perfect creations, and no matter how much of a genius Kang is, he's still stuck at the third circle. Even the legendary Book of the Black Goat can't show its full power in the hands of someone so weak. He keeps praying, channeling divine blessings straight into his angels to power them up even more. Each word that comes out of his mouth is like a thorn stabbing into the young girl's ears. She's reaching her limit fast. Shut up, shut up. She can't take it anymore. She leaps into the air right between the angels and unleashes her tentacles at full force. The angels don't even break a sweat. They slice through every single one effortlessly and send her crashing down to the ground hard. One of the angels descends toward her, ready to deliver the final judgment and end this. But something makes him stop mid-strike. The young girl isn't irritated anymore. She's smiling. In the next moment, the angels start getting consumed from the inside out. It's like poison coursing through their entire bodies, devouring them from within. Purple veins spread across their skin as they scream in pure agony. Nicholas panics immediately, demanding to know what's happening to his precious angels. Even as their bodies are being eaten alive, the angels keep chanting praises to their god right until the very end. The purple veins spread across their entire forms, draining them completely dry until nothing is left but empty husks. The young girl watches with pure excitement in her eyes, savoring the moment she's been waiting for all this time. An evil god that devours the flesh of angels. That's her true nature. And the one who summoned her, the young master of the Noir Tower, is no ordinary 11-year-old kid. Nicholas finally realizes what he's dealing with. Kang isn't just some prodigy from a ducal house or the Empire's greatest genius. He's something far more terrifying than that. A child of the devil himself. Knowing he has absolutely zero chance of survival, Nicholas drops to his knees at Kang's feet. Kang looks down at him with that same calm expression and throws the Cardinal's own words right back at him. The parties to this contract bear no responsibility for anything that occurs here. That's what you said, wasn't it? The Cardinal can only beg desperately for his life at this point. Kang asks softly, "Do you truly wish to live? Then what can you offer me?" The Cardinal lifts his head. "What do you want?" "Wealth. I will offer you wealth and an ecclesiastical position. If you wish, you can even command the forces of the church under me. Please, just tell me what you want. I will give you everything I possess." Kang smiles brightly at the Cardinal, like the most innocent child in the world. "Everything you possess." But it's already too late. Kang has already begun rewriting the contract right in front of his eyes. Bound by his own oath, there's absolutely no room left for Nicholas to turn this situation around. He's completely trapped. Once Nicholas's matter is settled and dealt with, the young girl turns toward Kang with a playful expression. She calls him Mr. Handsome and says that playing with him had been so much fun. "I really liked your world, so I'll be waiting for you here." When Kang doesn't respond right away, she tilts her head curiously. "Aren't you afraid of me?" Kang replies in the most gentle, pleasant voice. "I'm not," and he means it. He knows better than anyone that she should never be summoned lightly. Her existence is far too dangerous, a power he can't fully control yet. When she asks if they can play like this again someday, Kang steps closer and answers softly, "Of course, we'll meet again. I promise we'll be able to play together." Satisfied with that sweet promise, she smiles wide and vanishes back into her book. And just like that, the disturbance in hell comes to an end. The eldest son of House Jackson received the acquittal of his sins in the name of Nicholas, as both a grand act of atonement and a bridge of reconciliation between House Jackson and the church. An unprecedented holy ceremony was conducted for all to witness. On the road back to the Dacal territory, Kang was no longer some pilgrim hiding his identity behind a cloak. And for that exact reason, no one dared to block the path of the Black Young Master. Not a single soul. Several months have passed since that incident. Uncle Ben instructs Charlotte to begin the demonstration. She acknowledges the order with a nod and closes her eyes in deep concentration. Within just a few moments, the sword she's wielding begins to glow bright, coated in a visible aura. After holding it for a few seconds, she opens her eyes and says calmly, "That will be all." The surrounding soldiers erupt into immediate praise and congratulations all around her. Uncle Ben exclaims proudly like a teacher watching his star student, "Incredible, young lady, to think you've already reached such a completed realm of the aura blade at your age." That's when Kang appears right behind him and speaks in a firm, authoritative tone that cuts through the celebration. "Charlotte of House Orhart," he declares clearly for everyone to hear. "I, Kang of House Jackson, now ask you, will you, for your lord, for your house's honor, and for all that you are sworn to protect, swear loyalty as my knight?" Charlotte doesn't hesitate for even a second. She drives the tip of her sword into the ground and drops to one knee in perfect form. One hand grips the sword firmly, while the other rests over her heart. She swears her loyalty right then and there. Kang places his sword on Charlotte's shoulder. "Do you swear to protect the weak and punish evil without being selfish?" Charlotte doesn't lift her head. I swear, in the name of Jackson, Kang makes it official. I hereby appoint Dame Charlotte as my knight. Just like that, she's in. After the oath ceremony, Kang and Charlotte walk side by side. Kang turns to her and asks if she's truly certain about this decision. Charlotte answers without hesitation. Yes, I like the sword of House Jackson, because that sword is what made you who you are today. Kang can't help but smile at Charlotte's answer. This girl just chose the heavy greatsword of House Jackson over a light rapier. By her own choice. That kind of adjustment is brutal for most people, but she pulled it off like it was nothing. Kang realizes he messed up. He completely underestimated Charlotte's talent. Time to make up for that mistake. He tells her about the intelligence reports coming in. A massive orc warband is gathering beyond the Demon King's territory. And get this, the orc war boss himself is leading them. This isn't some random raid. Jackson is about to mobilize his entire force and call in every northern lord he can find. Kang will be marching with them. But here's the real kicker. He wants Charlotte right there by his side, as his personal knight. Charlotte goes quiet, just for a moment. Then she drops her answer with zero hesitation. Her blade will be wielded for him alone. That's it. That's the vow. Meanwhile, Jackson gathers his delegates for an emergency conference. The reports are in. A massive orc warband is moving south from the Dark Land, straight out of the Demon King's old territory. One of the delegates asks the obvious question. Is this another barbarian invasion starting up again? Jackson doesn't sugarcoat it. Most likely. Now here's what most people don't understand. When the hero Misato teamed up with the Empire and killed the Demon King, everyone thought that was the end. Peace at last. Wrong. The demon races didn't just vanish. They fled south from the barren Dark Land because they had no other choice. They needed to survive. Those migrations, that chaos. History would later call it the barbarian invasions. And it's happening again. Jackson keeps going. Orders have been issued to summon the Northern Lords, the Northern Magic Tower, and every single subordinate knightly order under their banner. This battlefield is going to be on a scale nobody has seen before. Then he turns to Kang, who's sitting right there at the conference, and tells him it's time to learn how to actually use necromancy on a battlefield. That afternoon, deep in the underground workshop of the Marduk, the first lesson begins. But before teaching anything, Jackson hits Kang with a question. What's the difference between a Death Knight and ordinary undead soldiers? Kang thinks for a second. Isn't it the same as the difference between a knight and a common soldier? Jackson asks him where that difference even comes from. Kang answers that it comes from combat power. Jackson shakes his head, half right, half wrong. Just having brute strength doesn't make someone a knight. Kang tries again. Is it the aura blade? Now Jackson nods. That's correct. He turns toward the corpse of a knight who fell in the recent Black and White War. This knight swore upon his knighthood to offer his body to House Jackson, even in death. The higher his level as an aura user was in life, the stronger the Death Knight he becomes. Jackson makes it clear. These aren't just corpses. These are knights who possess pride. Then Jackson gestures for Kang to follow him. There's something else he needs to see. They descend another flight of stairs, going even deeper underground. After a few steps, Jackson asks if Kang knows about Frederick, the immortal and founder of House Jackson. Kang stays silent. He doesn't tell his father that Frederick's grimoire is literally lodged in his heart. Instead, he just says he only knows what he read in books and what his father told him. Jackson nods. Frederick was a monster in pursuit of truth. He never hesitated to sacrifice even his own daughter. Then his tone gets serious. What I'm about to show you is what Frederick once pursued, and what House Jackson still owes to this day. The darkness of old age. At the base of the stairs is an archway hidden behind a thin veil of magic. Jackson and Kang pass through it. Only those with true Jackson blood can enter. What Kang sees on the other side makes his jaw drop. Hundreds of dead soldiers standing in absolute stillness, all of them arranged in perfect formation. Kang asks quietly, "What is all this?" Jackson explains. It's a method of operating the dead without needing a continuous mana supply. The immortal Frederick achieved this massive breakthrough long ago. Since then, every head of House Jackson has cultivated an army of death known as the Death Order. Jackson continued the immortal Frederick's will as well. For some reason, this revelation fills Kang with intense disgust. Everything suddenly clicks into place. The reason House Jackson completely cut itself off from the outside world. The reason the Marduk, despite wielding dark power, pushes morality so hard. It was all to keep the Death Order safely under control. The realization makes his stomach churn. Hypocrisy, filth, it makes him want to vomit. Jackson stretches out his arm toward the Death Order. This is our darkness, and this darkness is also the shield that protects us. Then he asks the question, Kang, are you prepared to accept it? Kang's mind is in complete turmoil. But outwardly, he places a hand over his heart and answers calmly. He was prepared from the beginning. Kang of Jackson will accept it willingly, no matter how impure or evil the power might be. He believes that beneath the shell of being a beautiful son, he's a hypocrite too. One who grows stronger for the sake of revenge. Under his father's guidance, Kang begins practicing necromancy with the Death Order. He commands the soldiers to fight one another, honing his control. Jackson watches closely, impressed by Kang's extraordinary concentration and refined mana control. Kang turns back and says it's only because he's learning from the best teacher. Still, he admits he can't yet control Death Knights without a mana supply the way the Death Order functions. Jackson nods. It's too early for that. What he'll teach Kang now is how to use necromancy on an actual battlefield. Focus your training on the coming battle. With that, Jackson summons the corpses of goblins and orders them to attack the Death Order. Kang doesn't waste a second. With absolute precision, he takes control of the Death Order and makes them slaughter every single goblin corpse Jackson threw at them. Jackson watches this and his jaw nearly hits the floor. Most necromancers can't fight worth a damn in real life, so their undead are complete trash in combat. But Kang? The swordsmanship he's channeling through literal dead bodies is better than the living Raven Knights. Jackson thinks to himself, what the hell kind of talent is this kid hiding? Sophia is asking herself the same question. She's been watching Kang train in the snow, and something about him just doesn't sit right. That day, he acted like some innocent child who didn't know a thing, but she saw through it with the world of Kang, that bone-chilling coldness, that darkness lurking underneath. And something else, desire. The kind of desperate longing only a man starved for affection would have. After watching him train for a while, Sophia tells him his water magic control has gotten way better. Kang gives the textbook answer. He promised his father he'd become a son to be proud of. Sophia says that's admirable, but Kang doesn't crack a smile or joke around like he normally does. He just stands there looking troubled. Sophia notices immediately and asks what's wrong. Kang lets out a soft sigh and gives her this weak smile. Then he drops the question, teacher, even if you see my ugly side, will you still like me? Sophia wasn't expecting that. Kang clarifies before she can respond. One day he'll have to accept the dark side of his family, and he's terrified she'll be disappointed in him. Sophia doesn't say anything at first. She just lifts his face gently with her hands. Kang looks confused as hell. She stares into his eyes, and the emotion there is so heavy she doesn't need words. Finally she speaks. Elves live for a long time. Even when Kang becomes a full-grown man, she'll still look exactly like this. As she says it, she realizes something that catches her off guard. Why do I even care this much about this kid? When news spread that the Black Young Master crushed his enemies at the Black and White turning point and left 0 survivors, the Empire went wild. They praised his talent and whispered about how terrifying he was becoming. The God of Massacre, they called him. Sophia heard all of it. Kang has the kind of talent that moves history itself, but every time she thinks about it, her chest tightens. She doesn't want this child walking a path drenched in blood, so she makes up her mind right there. She'll stay by his side until he figures out his true feelings. And when that day comes, she won't be his teacher anymore. She'll just be a woman. That's why you're not alone, she tells him. Then she turns around like nothing happened and says it's time to start the lesson. Kang just runs up and hugs her like his life depends on it. Thank you. I really like you, Sophia, so please wait for me. The kid is pouring his heart out, letting himself feel warm for once, instead of carrying around that freezing chest full of revenge and loneliness. It's a childhood promise he'll cling to like a lifeline. Fast forward a bit, and the Northern Lords are all gathering at Jackson's place because of the whole barbarian invasion situation. Jackson sends out the summons, and every small-time and mid-tier lord scrambles to show up. And of course, half these nobles are just here to kiss ass and get noticed by Jackson. They won't shut up about their kids. My son did this, my daughter did that. It's like a bragging competition nobody asked for. There's literally a war coming, but these people still can't skip their little networking sessions. For a great lord, collecting loyal minions and puffing up your faction is just part of the job. The northern nobles and their spoiled brats know exactly who matters here. They swarm around Kang like he's handing out free money, introducing themselves and laying on the compliments thick. Kang's internally groaning. Getting people's attention really is exhausting, but that's politics for you. While he's stuck playing nice with the crowd, some purple-haired guy walks up and says he's heard Kang fights like a veteran knight despite being a literal child. He wants to see it with his own eyes. Before Kang can even answer, the guy's Uncle Ben jumps in like an attack dog. Jonas, how dare you speak to the young master in such an outrageously rude manner? Kang waves him off. You're the second son of House Kenneth, Sir Jonas, right? Jonas nods. So you want to test my ability? Jonas immediately drops to one knee like he just remembered how hierarchies work. He goes on about how Kang has insane talent in both sword and magic, how he led a crushing victory at the Black and White turning point while still basically a kid, and how he supposedly turned the Knight Order of St. Magcana into a literal bloodbath. I wasn't doubting you, young master. I just want you to teach me a few sword moves. Uncle Ben's about to blow a gasket again, but Kang cuts him off with a smile. Sir Jonas, second son of House Kenneth. I heard you commanded a mercenary unit of 100 men. You became a wandering knight and built that whole unit from nothing. Kang connects the dots instantly. Second son of a baron? Yeah, this guy isn't inheriting squat thanks to primogeniture laws. So Jonas went out and built his own mercenary crew to prove he's not useless. It's a risky move, but Kang sees the value. A wandering knight with no strings attached who can lead 100 guys? That's actually pretty damn useful. So Kang accepts the duel with a smile. Just like that, a fight between Kang and the second son of House Kenneth gets arranged on the spot. It's the perfect chance to establish the pecking order before the war even starts, and Jackson has zero reason to stop it. Perfect entertainment. Right before the duel kicks off, Kong looks at Jonas and says, "At the very least, you understand that ordinary swords are different from my sword." Jonas nods. He knows about Kong's sword of shadow. Kong tells him straight up, "Use your aura. Face me with your full strength." Jonas accepts and releases his aura as he gets ready. Kong watches him carefully. The guy hasn't reached aura blade level yet, but his control is surprisingly clean. Not bad. Kang summons his sword from the shadows, and Jonas's eyes go wide. "Come at me first," Kang says like he's ordering lunch. Jonas launches forward with everything he's got. Kang dodges it like he's swatting a fly. Child's play. Jonas attacks again almost immediately. Kang blocks it without breaking a sweat. But here's what's really going on in Jonas's head. He thinks Kang was born with everything handed to him on a silver platter. He wants to prove that someone with nothing can still beat someone who has it all. Classic underdog delusion. Jonas spots what he thinks is an opening and lunges for it. But was it really an opening? Or just his own blind confidence showing him what he wanted to see? He figures it out real quick when his sword cuts through nothing but air. Before he can even react, an attack comes from beneath him, and he barely dodges it. Shock plasters itself across Jonas's face as shadows under his feet erupt into spikes, and they just keep sprouting farther back with every step he takes. Then Kang releases all the spikes at once. Jonas manages to dodge every single one. Kang gives him credit. His movements are solid, skills worthy of a mercenary captain. At this level, Jonas is a fitting opponent, someone who can actually make Kang look good. Kang conjures his dark magic and calmly tells Jonas to come at him again. Oh, and he's not moving from that spot. Jonas starts getting flustered. Kang's unwavering confidence and casual tone are getting under his skin. He raises his sword high and shouts for Kang not to underestimate him. Kang blocks the attack, effortlessly, again. The crowd watching this is in complete awe, not just of Kang's strength, but his composure. The kid is treating this duel like a tutorial level. Jonas retreats from his failed strike and challenges Kang to dodge the next attack if he can. But before he can even execute whatever plan he's cooking up, Kang strikes first. His shadows surge forward like a tidal wave. At that moment, Jonas gets it. Kang isn't trying to defeat him. He's displaying his power, treating him like a training dummy to show off in front of everyone. From the very beginning, Jonas was never the real target. The actual audience, the Northern Lords watching this whole thing and their spoiled kids taking notes. Jonas can't accept being used like this. He grits his teeth and launches his next attack faster than anything he's thrown before. He doesn't want to admit it. That Kang's talent is the greatest in the Empire, that it's the living, breathing embodiment of how unfair the world is, that no amount of struggling will ever close the gap. After burning through every ounce of strength he has left, Jonas finally drops to one knee, using his sword to hold himself up. He accepts his defeat. Kang looks down at him, but his mind is somewhere else entirely. Is this thanks to the Book of the Black Goat? The entire fight felt like the world moved in slow motion. He just crushed an opponent going all out with aura, and it wasn't even close. The sword of the Shadow Cloak feels like an extension of his own blood now, like controlling a living shadow with tentacles. Thanks to that duel with Saron, he can clearly feel the difference. Still, he needs to make an example out of this. Kang summons a shadow bullet and shatters one of Jonas's shadow swords just to drive the point home. Then he turns to the crowd and speaks with an authoritative voice that shuts everyone up. Is there anyone else who wishes to challenge me? Is there no one left who still has the courage to doubt my name and prove themselves? Dead silence. No one answers. Some of them even kneel on the spot and swear their loyalty right there. Kang recalls a phrase his father repeats all the time. Fear guarantees loyalty. And damn if the old man wasn't exactly right. That night, Jonas drowns himself in drink because he can't accept the defeat. No matter how many times he swings his sword in his head, it feels like he'll never reach Kang. The thought stabs at his mind like a needle, so he numbs it the only way he knows how. Alcohol. Jonas and his mercenaries are sitting around a campfire getting drunk and cursing Kang and the entire noble class. One of them starts ranting. Seriously, you should have seen those nobles clinging to that 11-year-old brat. Another guy scoffs and asks what's so special about him anyway. Married noble women going that far, fawning over a kid just to catch his eye. It was pathetic to watch. Someone else chimes in. Come to think of it, does that brat even know how to deal with women? One of the men laughs. You're right, Captain. I bet he can't do anything as a man. A calm voice answers from the darkness. Oh, really? They all jump to their feet like they just got caught stealing. One of them demands to know how long he's been standing there. Kang ignores the question completely. He just walks over, sits down on a nearby log, and looks straight at Jonas. What are you doing? You should be pouring the drinks. Jonas obeys without a word. He sits beside Kang and holds up a jug to pour him a drink. As he does, Kang speaks quietly. The world feels cursed, doesn't it? Jonas shakes his head weakly. No, it doesn't, he whispers, but even he doesn't sound convinced. Kang keeps going. That's simply how the world works. Unfair. Absurd. There isn't a single thing people can decide with their own hands. The natural talent you're born with. The circumstances you grow up in. Is there even one thing among them we can choose by our own will? Jonas squirms uncomfortably and answers softly. No, sir. Kang places a hand on his shoulder. Don't blame yourself. There's nowhere in this world where you can find a fate we can truly change with our own hands. Jonas laughs bitterly. Yeah, I think you're right, young master. No matter how hard I struggled, I guess I never had a chance. Kang nods. Then he drops the offer. Sir Jonas, second son of House Kenneth, I like you. Would you and your entire mercenary unit be willing to swing your swords for House Jackson under my command? Jonas just sits there, completely frozen, wondering if the alcohol finally broke his brain. Jonas can't believe what he just heard. He asks if Kang really wants to take him and his ragtag mercenary crew in. Kang says yes, and not only that, his strongest knights will personally train Jonas's people for the coming battle. From the absolute basics like, this is the pointy end of the sword, all the way to advanced aura cultivation methods, the whole package. Jonas is floored. He asks if he's really getting the chance to train with Kang's elite Nightcrow team. The same legendary squad he could barely keep up with in his dreams. He can barely process it. This is the same kid who just publicly humiliated him and proved the world is brutally unfair. And now that very same brat is handing him a second chance in this unfair world. What kind of twisted charity is this? Jonas asks why. Why would Kang even bother with someone like him? Kang's answer is stupidly simple. He needs people like Jonas on his side. Jonas just sits there, stunned and weirdly happy. He gets it now. Even though Kang lives in the same rigged game as everyone else, he's still willing to give bottom feeders like him another shot. And honestly, Jonas accepts without a second thought. What else is he gonna do? Say no? Sometime later, a strategy meeting gets called at Jackson's castle to discuss the goblin problem. During the discussion, they break down the geography. Between Jackson's territory and the Demon King's wasteland, there are massive mountains that would make even experienced climbers cry. The only way goblins can waddle their way into Jackson land is by crossing those mountains. Thanks to this, the Jackson family has a ridiculous defensive advantage. Right now, Jackson's archers are stationed at the border, turning goblins into pincushions and keeping the territory nice and safe. However, Jackson knows they can't just sit behind walls forever playing defense. They need to push forward and wipe out every single goblin, every last one. Uncle Ben agrees immediately. It's finally time to deploy the field army and smash these goblins head on. Jackson orders everyone to start preparing. They're taking the field tomorrow for an all-out battle. With that, the meeting wraps up. Before everyone leaves, Jackson asks Kang to stay behind. He wants to talk privately. He tells Kang he's giving him a strike force to lead in tomorrow's battle. And oh yeah, Sophia will also be fighting on his team. Hearing Sophia's name makes Kang freeze. He asks his father why Sophia is being sent so suddenly. He doesn't get it. Jackson explains calmly that Sophia herself wants to fight in the upcoming war. It's her own decision. Kang is surprised and wonders what the hell Sophia is thinking. After this, Jackson tells Kang to handle the rest of the preparations. Kang quickly asks for a unit from Charlotte's team to join tomorrow's battle as well. Jackson agrees. Charlotte's team will take the field with him. The scene shifts to Charlotte. She arrives brimming with extreme confidence, ready to prove herself on the battlefield. Before the battle, Kang pulls her aside and asks for a promise. She must not die tomorrow. Charlotte is shocked. A knight's duty is literally to lay down her life for her lord. That's the whole point. Kang replies flatly that as her lord, he's ordering her not to die. Charlotte blushes hard and stammers that she understands. She'll be careful and contribute properly in tomorrow's war. Translation: she's flustered as hell. Soon, the time for war finally arrives. Jaskin and Lord Bale are fully prepped. Charlotte's unit is standing ready alongside Kang. Sophia is also right there next to him, geared up and ready to march. The group sets out. That evening, Kang's team sets up camp in the forest to rest before the real chaos begins. Outside the camp, Sophia is walking alone under the moonlight. Kang spots her wandering and stops her. He asks why she's still awake this late, and why she's roaming around by herself. Sophia replies simply, she couldn't sleep. Kang then asks if she spoke to his father about something. Suddenly, Sophia hears a strange sound. Both of them immediately bolt toward their camp and see absolute chaos. Thousands of goblins are swarming the place, launching a full-blown surprise attack. Kang can't wrap his head around it. They hadn't even started their operation yet, so why the hell are the goblins attacking now? This wasn't part of the plan. He immediately orders Sir Bale to take his unit and advance. Bale's team rushes forward to engage, and his archers start raining arrows down on the goblins like it's target practice. Bale pushes ahead while Kang follows behind with his own unit. He shouts that if they just hold the line a little longer, the rest of the forces will catch up and they'll wipe these goblins out. As Kang's team keeps advancing through the chaos, there are unseen figures hiding behind rocks in the distance, just waiting. And honestly, that's where things get absolutely insane. Those figures hiding behind the rocks, they're not here for sightseeing. They're here to hunt down the one kid who can raise zombie armies before puberty. And I'm betting someone in Jackson's inner circle sold them out. So guys, who do you think the betrayer is? Drop your theories below. If you're hooked on this reincarnated commander plotting revenge while accidentally building a harem at age 11, smash that like button harder than Kang's about to smash whoever set this trap. And subscribe so you don't miss the bloodbath when those assassins strike. Your support keeps these recaps coming, and let me know in the comments who you're simping for. Sophia, the immortal elf who's way too comfortable teaching a child forbidden magic? Charlotte, who went from rival to blushing fangirl in one oath ceremony? Or Kang's mom, Elena, who's technically the same mental age as her reincarnated son? Yeah, that last one hits different. I'll catch you in the next one when bodies start dropping.